Gentlemen, how are we this evening? Hello, everybody. Lots going on. Lots happened since we last kind of connected, isn't it? The hurricane kind of came through and didn't destroy the country as everyone thought, but there's really a lot of devastation there. So we're going to catch up with some headlines, and then we're going to go into kind of a little more deep dive into some weather manipulation stuff, I think, tonight. So, I mean, right off the bat, kind of news this week, Kamala's kind of dipping in the polls, right? She's lost like 5% in the polls. It looks like we're starting to see even people like Bill Maher being like, why are you losing? A little bit on that. Apparently, he is going to be on Joe Rogan, says Elon Musk. We'll talk a little bit about that. Do you guys see that?
Trump's going to be on
You
Joe
think he's
Rogan.
going to be? You think he's going to be?
Yeah.
He's going to be on Joe Rogan, and he's going to be in Madison Square Garden. That's going to be a big event.
I think the dam's kind of broken, right? He's already done a bunch of other podcasts now. Joe Rogan isn't like the only guy platforming him. So,
but it's a big new audience.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's huge. It's going to be
a lot of moderates.
Yeah, one of the things about like with Joe Rogan is he's got nothing to lose from having Trump on because he's had plenty of controversial people like, Alex Jones and stuff. And he has a lot to gain.
Yeah.
And most of his audience is fairly moderate. They're pretty smart. And, Joe Rogan also, the UFC thing, that's where a lot of people know him from. They're that whole community, very, very tight with Trump. So it doesn't make sense to me why he wouldn't have him on.
But I guarantee he'll invite Kamala Harris, and I guarantee she will not go. She went on Call Me Daddy. But anyway.
That was a disaster, I heard. Word salads galore.
They've all been disasters. So we'll get into all that. A couple other things going on. SpaceX just finally did the thing, right? They launched the spaceship, cool. What is it, Spaceship One or the Mega Heavy? And then they caught it. They caught it.
They caught the booster.
Yeah. I mean,
the booster, I think.
So cool. They caught the booster and they brought it down in, and that is just so cool. So we'll go into that a little bit.
It's been a good week. It's been a good week for Elon. Yeah, he announced the cyber taxi, the robot. He's been doing a lot of work.
The robot thing is wild. Yeah, we're getting there.
You saw that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Judges in tech, judge rules EPA must strengthen regulation because fluoride causes children to have lower IQs. News flash.
We've known that for years.
Yes.
And they called us conspiracy theorists.
The city down here in Texas actually immediately removed it from the water. They stopped adding it.
Finally. So they're like, oh, see? All right, good. So they don't have to see. The problem with the government is that nobody wants to be the bad guy, right? So now they can point to that and say, oh, see, the EPA did it. Said perfect. So that's good. Bad news is Chinese hackers have all our social security numbers. Apparently they've had all our social security numbers have been hacked. Cell carriers have been hacked. A lot of hacking. So I think we should talk a little bit about that and maybe some strategies to get unhacked and kind of protect yourself. I think a little bit of tech strategy will be on the today. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about today?
No, and then it's pretty much it. Second hour, we're going to be moving into a little deeper dive into weather manipulation. It's kind of an extension from last week.
I think the news last week, really, the headlines wasn't so much the hurricane or was it manipulation or whatever. I think the news to me was that people were talking about it.
Right. It was reaching the very top.
The fact that it was in the mainstream of weather manipulation, because the arguments that I was having with people wasn't so much, is the government doing it? Was some people denied the technology even existed. And it's like, dude, we were posting articles of like a 70-year anniversary from the first time they dropped dry ice into a hurricane by a government agency. It's like, this has been around for a long time.
I've actually collected some videos to show our audience later in the second hour.
Awesome.
I got a HARP documentary from 1995. It's not too long, but it's definitely something we can look at, talk about it. Got some footage back from, I think, way back in the 50s, 60s. And then from about 10 years ago as well. It kind of just shows they've been doing this forever, and they've just been perfecting it.
So I guess
one thing I want to tell Steve is Steve's been really doing a good job with the shorts. I don't know if people check that out on our channel, but we've been doing
a lot of people have been checking those out.
It's been doing really good for us. So
big celebration for us. We just reached 200 subscribers. We did 51,000 views. Those shorts, people have been showing a lot of support. So thank you to our viewers for that.
What we're trying to do is stay relevant. We're trying to show you guys, if you subscribe to our channel, when you go on YouTube, you're probably going to see some stuff that's just happening. All we're trying to do is kind of keep things in the mainstream. I mean, like I try to tell people, like, you have to figure out, like, how do you know what's going on? Okay, you got drudgereport.com, right? That's like the front headline of the mainstream. It used to be a lot more conservative. Now it's a lot more, mainstream, but that's the mainstream front page of all the headlines. It's a great aggregator. Then you kind of see what's going on in the podcast world, the podcast world, like different little segments of things. You have to kind of see, and you have to put it all together. And if you do it all, then you'll know what's going on in the world. And we're here to be a part of that process.
And most of all, we want to keep you informed and educated as best as we can based on the knowledge we have. A lot of the stuff is opinion based, but we do bring it in from the real world. So we want to keep people educated and informed.
We don't have answers. We have a lot of questions, and we have a lot of cool clips and a lot of things to show you and talk about. And I think that's what we're here for. We're just kind of a discussion base. And I think at the least by the end of every episode, I guarantee you're going to be thinking about at least something. So, all right, let's get right into it, gang. Kamala Harris is down in the polls. The momentum's kind of shifted. To Trump. I'm seeing. Do you have the? You want to play a clip?
But did it shift, or you think it was always like this?
That's let's see.
She's always been down.
Momentum is a vibe, right? So I mean, it's always kind of been like that. But right after after the Biden the debate, it was like, oh, okay, Trump's got this.
Momentum's gone.
Then the assassination attempt, and it was like, Trump's got this. Like it's over. The election's over. So
for Kamala, they called it the honeymoon period,
which it was. And then they took him out. They took Biden out basically behind the shed and took him out. And that was not good, and he does not like that. But I think, and to my opinion, is they did that because they need to raise money. Right. They need to continually, the machine needs to raise money. So all the people, the politicos, the people that work in operations need the money. And Biden wasn't raising money because everyone knew he was going to lose. Kamala was a chance.
Don, it wasn't that they needed to raise the money. It's they wanted to keep the money that was already raised.
Also that.
Because they couldn't, those coffers, if it was like 150, 60 million,
right,
they would have had to give it all back if it wasn't the same candidates.
Two of the things true. But to be honest with you, I don't think the Democratic establishment wanted Kamala. I think they wanted an open convention. Obama, those people wanted people like, Mark Kelly, those, it was Joe Biden that kind of, put the fly in the punch bowl and was like, I support Kamala Harris, and he hates her. And now all he's done is Kamala Harris is always with me. She's totally part of every plan I've been on. He is just sinking her, putting on the MAGA hat. He is having a grand old time, just passing out at the beach and just shoving crap into Kamala Harris's campaign.
Well, as Damien said, the honeymoon is over. Let's see what they have to say on the news.
Kristen Welker is the moderator of Meet the Press. Kristen, good morning. Great to see you. As always, I understand you all are going to roll out a new NBC News poll this morning. What jumped out at you as you sifted through it?
Well, Willie, the big headline, this is a national head-to-head poll, is that Vice President Kamala Harris had a 5-point lead in our last poll taken a month ago, right after the debate. That lead has all but evaporated, Willie. Take a look at this new head-to-head matchup, 48% to 48%. That is what we call a deadlocked race. It underscores what we all know, that this is tight, that the country is sharply divided. One of the other big headlines here, people are viewing the Trump presidency more favorably than the Biden presidency. Why is that significant? We've seen the vice president get pressed repeatedly on what she would do differently than President Biden, and she's really struggled with that answer. We have new reporting that will roll out on the show this morning, Willie, taking us inside the Harris campaign, where there are discussions about changing her answer on that. Can she draw a distinction on the Middle East, for example, on immigration, all under discussion with this razor-tight race? Willie?
And she continues to say, I am not Joe Biden, but you're right. She'll have to get more specific here down the stretch if she wants to win. Kristen, thank you so much. We'll look for more this morning on Meet the Press when Kristen is joined by Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and former Republican Congressman.
Yeah, so not looking good for Miss Harris, unfortunately. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
was it
I
always
think it's
good?
fantastic.
Sorry.
I'm enjoying them eating themselves, and the whole thing that Don was talking about with Biden basically undermining her at every corner. I'm loving it, and I think it's going to keep going.
Tyler?
I think she was going to win, and I think that's what they were thinking. But now with the insider polling, it's such a big lead that they can't even do anything about it. So now they're just like,
if we do it, and if we try to rig it, it's gonna be too obvious. So now they're just like, we have to do the down ballot, and now they're worried they're gonna lose everything. And I think that's what they're looking at right now. They're
Yeah, I
playing.
think, yeah, I think you're right there, Tyler. Is that at this point with her so low in the polls, or actually just sinking in the polls, like Damien said, honeymoon being over. You can't really rig it anymore at that point. It just you can't make it obvious.
Well,
Don?
I had conversation with Democrats, and they were just saying the same thing. Like, they're looking at Trump, and they're saying, well, Trump is doing a lot of rallies. He is doing a lot of town halls. As much as they may hate him, he is putting to work. And they're saying, what is Kamala going to be doing comparable to Trump? And there's nothing like it. You know, he is out there doing so many things, and they can't justify Kamala. So,
Fully agree on that. What do you think about that, Don?
I mean, I said it from the beginning. It's been a money play. They knew Kamala Harris was not marketable. I think Biden said, all right, you're going to throw me under the bus? Screw you. I'm going to support Kamala Harris. Kind of a final FU because he doesn't care. So they're like, okay, Kamala Harris, because they're raising money. All the politicals, all the industrial, the people in the industry, they're raising their money. They're making their money. They're making it seem like it's a campaign, but really, there was a week maybe there I was like, oh man, this might be close. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, even when the hurricanes were starting to come together, I was like, geez, they're really trying. But I feel, and even the hurricane, we'll go into the weather manipulation, if it was, maybe there's a battle going on, because again, everyone needs to understand, we really don't know what's going on at the top levels. Things are really crazier than you can imagine. So it feels like the momentum has shifted, even in the mainstream media. Bill Maher making fun of it. There's a great SNL skit. I think Steve has a clip for. We'll play in a little bit. Of Kamala Harris kind of getting roasted. She's and I look at her and I think, if I was one of those people that look at the end of the day, we know there's power brokers, right? The rich, the powerful, the power brokers. Trump. They want to stay rich. They really do. They don't want a Bernie Sanders or a Elizabeth Warren or a Kamala Harris. They really don't, because at the end of the day, they do want to be rich.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So they're kind of, I think, going for Trump too. They don't want to say it, but they are. And I think they're looking at Kamala Harris and they're like, are we really gonna let her be the president? Give her the privilege and the honor of being a president? She is the most undeserving. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it. She is the most undeserving, unqualified candidate we've had I've ever seen in my lifetime of a major party. She is so out of her element and just so
she makes Joe Biden look like Lyndon B. Johnson.
Joe Biden was legit. I'm sorry, he was corrupt. He was legit, but he was a legit politician. You see him before the dementia. He was on point. I mean, he's I didn't like him. I don't like his policies.
We played that video clip at the end of the last show.
Right.
We are America. We own the finish line. At least he was patriotic about it.
I don't understand the strategy. I don't. Why would they want to get him out? He actually is probably the closest thing to actually beating Trump.
Because the money dried up. Because
and his
he
brain
was
was broken.
So, and I think the play was this. First of all, he was a big liability. I mean, there was just so much liability. They knew he was going to lose. He was losing against Trump at the beginning of the year. That's why they set up the debate. I think Trump shouldn't have taken the bait, for the debate for Biden, but the left set the debate up for Biden to do early. We don't do presidential debates before the nomination normally.
Right.
So we did that. They set it up, and you saw the news. Everyone was coordinated. Project Mockingbird, coordinated right after that. Everyone was like, Biden's done. Biden's done. Biden's done. They were ready because the money dried up, and all the people in the industry, again, there's so much money. They need to be there. For down ballot, especially, they were like, okay, we're done. Anybody will be better. So Obama, I think the establishment, though, didn't count on Biden giving a big FU to them and just endorsing Kamala Harris right off the bat. I think they were going to try for someone else. But I think also at the last minute,
he's mad. He's really mad.
People like Gavin Newsom, also like Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, Gavin Newsom, governor.
They couldn't do that.
They stepped out, but they also stepped out because they're like, we're going to lose to Trump. So why would we waste our now when we can wait till 2028. So I think a lot of the establishment, you heard this, if you go to some of the conversations, some of the reports, the conversations that were going on in Europe when the G7 and stuff like those summits were going on, people were like ready for Trump. They know Trump's going to win. They're trying to, you look at Davos,
But
the Bilderberg group, they were ready. They're
Don.
already planning on Trump winning.
Listen. They couldn't let anybody else run. It had to be
the
Kamala.
money. She had a bunch of money, right?
It was all the
also
funds
black
needed to
woman. What's funny to me is
Black.
Biden picked her for a DII hire, right? She was kind of like, they backed themselves into a corner. You're right, Steve. They had no choice.
They had no other
to
choice.
go with Kamala Harris, and they didn't want, just like they kind of had to go with Biden. They didn't really want Biden in 2020, but they had to, because Hillary Clinton was supposed to be the 8-year candidate, and then you pass the torch to someone else, right?
They've been kind of playing panic mode for quite a bit right now. What do you think, Damien?
I think it's funny because, with Donald Trump, he's got the Trump train, and Kamala has a boat, and Joe Biden's on the boat, but he's the anchor.
And Dan's on the boat too.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm liking it, and SNL had actually done, I think, 3 different things in the last week.
Oh, they just did this
roasting-
one. Have you guys seen this one? It's 8 minutes long, but I'm not going to play the whole thing. This is Family Feud. Even the left has turned.
The
on
SNL, yeah.
Yeah, here. That kind of gives you an idea of what's going on.
Got to keep playing the clip. We got to go to the Kamala Harris part.
Oh no,
just keep playing the clip.
It starts from the beginning.
I love the part when she was going to crying into her pillow. You could hear the pain in her soul.
I'll find the clip.
I wish I could have it just start from halfway through, but that thing's 8 minutes long, man. We're not going to play the whole thing without getting at least
Are we gonna get pinged on YouTube for playing this kind of stuff? Are they gonna get mad at us?
No. If we play 8
Oh wait,
minutes
no.
of it,
Here. I have a actual clip. You know what? For everyone. So if you go into that, no, I have it right here.
They also don't care if you're not monetized or showing ads or whatever. Then they don't.
Oh really?
Find
They don't
you
care.
as much.
Not
yeah,
as much
because
now.
We should just play it because I haven't seen it because I don't have cable. So can you just play?
you
the clip?
haven't.
Can you scan it?
Ooh.
No. If
Oh, you can't?
I have a button to play the video.
Oh my gosh, we're
unfortunately-
so low
yes.
tech, everybody. I'm sorry. We're gonna have better tech soon. Here,
Boomer.
check this link. Click one of those Twitter links and just play the clip because the question for Kamala Harris in SNL just nails it. And they were the ones who, like, after COVID, I there's a really great clip, I think, after COVID, there was like about the masking and everyone. Did you ever see that one? They were at the dinner table.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah, we might want to play that one.
This is not a clip. This is an article.
No. Click on it. And there you go. This one.
Okay.
Here,
Next time, send me the Twitter video, please.
Sorry. There you go.
This one.
Ha.
Okay. Yeah. This
All
was
right.
what we just did.
Oh, okay. I'm just
Yeah.
dumb. You know what? It was so good we needed to play it twice, Steve.
I
Own it.
recommendation.
I'm gonna own it.
Yeah. Just
It
pay
was so
attention.
good we needed to
It's
play it
okay.
twice.
It was good, but yeah, that's what I was talking about. Is that they just went on and on about they're tearing her apart now, and that is supposed to be her side, her media.
That's the third one this
it's
month,
not just her, it's
too.
Bill Maher. Bill Maher, same thing. I don't know if you guys watched Bill Maher. Like, literally, same thing.
Yep.
He was like, the week before, last episode, he just had a week off, and the week before, he was like, no, Trump's gonna lose. Trump's gonna lose. Like, no problem. I'm not even worrying about it. Like, Trump's definitely gonna lose.
Well, one of the big things I think that is really helping Trump out, in my opinion, is very, very straightforward. He has been going ahead and getting involved with the younger crowd and getting involved with social media and getting involved with going on podcasts like ours. Well, he won't come on ours probably, but he is going to go somewhere. Anybody have a clue?
It's happening. I mean, Kamala Harris. Okay, let's just back up real quick. It's really interesting. Kamala Harris wasn't going anywhere, right? And then she's on Call Me Daddy, who talks about she talks with sex workers and all this stuff, which I guess
That makes sense.
is appropriate. She's talking to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
She's
Kamala.
She's on Howard Stern. She's on 60 Minutes, which is a complete disaster. Where 60 Minutes literally had to edit from the advertisement clip to the actual video. Like, it's bad. She's wasn't out there. She was trying to play the Joe Biden strategy. No, it wasn't working.
What is called daddy?
Like I'm not a boomer. I'm an old guy, but I just like, what is the podcast? Does any of you guys know? Steve.
Apparently, it's one of the biggest, and I've
Oh,
never
Joe
heard of
Rogan.
it.
Yeah.
But it's
Call Her
like
Daddy.
supposed to be a bunch of sexual
Is it
stuff.
talk about,
I
like,
heard
sexual-
she's
sexual
going
stuff?
on she's going on Haktua next or
Yeah,
Oh,
Talksua.
she's
Yeah.
entertaining to women. And she talks to a lot of sex workers, a lot of things like that.
Sex
like it's
workers,
yeah.
yeah.
Like a
I
lot
mean-
of like strippers, like people in the
Right.
industry,
People
and stuff. Like,
people
it's-
that need abortions.
Yeah.
And also, I also heard a rumor that Kamala is coming out with her own brand of knee pads. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, so moving forward, here's Trump talking about how he's gonna go.
There goes that
and-
sponsorship opportunity.
What, the abortion clinic?
Hey, I'll
Joe
hey,
Rogan
listen,
has to have you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Oh, sure, I would.
I think Joe, like, besides us, Joe's
I mean, I think
obviously-
I'm doing it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. that'd
So
be
you
great.
are going to do Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I am.
Joe Rogan's the best in the game for sure, and I think
Yeah. So he goes on Joe Rogan. That's game over.
So, okay, I think the thing was Joe Rogan didn't want to do it at first because he's okay. And this is my theory too. I think Bill Maher even is much more in the middle than he was letting on, but he has his audience, right? He has his audience and he doesn't want to alienate them because again, there's the intellectual. Have you guys heard the intellectual dark web?
of course,
There was kind of like talking to Jordan Peterson, the Ben Shapiro's, but you don't really the Joe Rogan, you know,
Stefan Molyneux back in the day too, when he was on
right?
point.
Different people. That's kind of like on the under. They're like, all right, how do we take our platforms and really affect things? Bill Maher, I think he's a lot more plugged in than a lot of people think, but he's there on the left, so he's gonna play to the left. He's gonna make the Trump jokes. I really like Bill Maher. I think he's hilarious. I think he's crazy, but he's the guy who'll say, abortion, it's killing a baby. It's literally murdering a baby. But
I'm okay with it.
it.
Right.
But say it what it
But
is,
right, call it what it
he's-
is.
He says, he says it straight. He was against the COVID, all the crazy lockdowns and all that stuff. Like he really does call a spade, and I really respect him for that. And I think he's part of this whole kind of thing. And even him, like I said, this week he was like,
Bill Maher's racist.
not
They're
looking
calling him.
good.
They call him everything now.
not looking good. Kamala Harris, not looking good. So it's I think the momentum, as we were talking about, has shifted. And it kind of makes me nervous about this Madison Square Garden rally because it's coming up, and it seems like the momentum's over. And I mean, over the last week of the hurricanes, we've seen so many scandals. The Bob Woodward's book and all these things, and Trump's a Russian asset, and nobody cares anymore.
Tyler was telling me he was just in Coachella the other day, wasn't he? Yet was it yesterday?
Yeah, last night he was in Coachella. That's why I wanted to ask you guys. Why is he going to California? Why is he going to New York? Do you think he's trying to get the popular vote, or is he trying to get the down ballot? Or I don't
They
know.
are in play. As much as people don't want to admit, they are in play. So I don't
They're
know.
in play.
California, like Northern California, is actually very red. So most states, like there's no such thing as a blue state. There's only blue cities.
Right.
So most states are actually controlled by like 3 or 4 metro areas. Like New York, Connecticut, California, they're literally only controlled by 3 or 4 cities.
Which is why they want to abolish the Electoral College.
Right.
Bingo.
Right.
Which I think we need to talk about something. I think why Trump's doing that is because really and truly, Trump represents the actual unification party. For the first time, I mean, in our lifetimes for sure, but who knows ever. He really is. And it's crazy because they call him the great divider, but really, he's
Uniter.
unified people. He really is. I never voted for a mainstream candidate in my life until Donald
He was
Trump.
the first person I voted for. I didn't
Yeah.
vote in any of the other elections.
I always
and I'm-
voted, but I was always like a protest voter, a libertarian voter. That's that kind of thing. And,
Third party, me too.
yeah, and
I
Trump
just
was
didn't.
fine.
I didn't get involved at all. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't super involved.
Yeah.
I kind of just. I always saw it as the uniparty from being a kid. My mom grew up in a communist country, and I saw
Uniparty?
that. Hold on, please.
I voted for
My,
Obama.
my mom grew up in a communist
Disavowed.
country, so she always taught me about the different signs that you would see in a government, like because they had governments in communist countries that had multiple parties, but it was all really just one big party. It's WWE. The wrestlers beat the crap out of each other, and then the second the lights turn off, they go in the back, and they're all in the same crew.
You're
And,
The
absolutely right.
illusion, the
I mean,
illusion of choice.
That's why everyone, like Dick Cheney and everyone, that's why Mitt Romney, they're all going for Kamala Harris. That's why Bush's, none of the previous Republican presidents have backed Trump. Of course,
John-
it's your uniparty. You have
Right.
a uniparty versus the actual unifying
Unity.
party. Absolutely.
Right, John McCain is going to be voting for Kamala Harris.
Yep. And all the other past presidents too. Jimmy Carter.
He's
is gonna
still
recently-
alive.
He's
Is
still
he?
alive.
Jimmy Carter.
Who just died?
He's in hospice, so his
Oh,
vote
that's
will
right. That's
definitely
right.
go
I saw
to-
the pictures with him on the
Stephen
stretcher
Hawking.
for his birthday.
That's
guy.
a-
You know
so-
what? I know what, and we should not talk ill of Jimmy Carter because you know what? Yes, he ran a bad. He was only 4 years. He came in
Listen.
a bad time, but also he's done a lot of good filling. He's actually done
But,
good
yeah.
work with this stuff.
Habitat
He's done
for
better.
Humanity.
He's done better
He's a good-
outside
good
of the
man,
presidency.
Good man.
I
I mean, it was
always-
only
outside of
4
the
years,
present-
and
yeah.
honestly, I think Jimmy Carter was he wasn't strong enough to fight against the momentum and the inertia that he inherited. He
What
came
I've
in and inherited
always
some
said-
craziness.
Well, crazy inflation and everything. What I've always said about Jimmy Carter is wonderful human being, not a good
Bad
president.
Correct.
One thing I want to
Opposite
say
is Trump, right? Technically,
Yeah.
Horrible
Kinda
human
like-
being,
yeah.
great president. But the thing is, though, is you need someone who's rough around the actually very rough around the
Batman.
edges.
That's it.
You
Not
need
the
Batman.
hero you want, the hero,
you
you
need.
need.
Right. You need a
The
Bruce
Dark
Wayne type.
Knight. Trump literally is the Dark Knight, and people make so much fun of me when I say that, but I'm like, it's kind of is like that because I wouldn't be like, when my kids, although where was that where someone asked, who would you rather your kid be, Kamala like Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, and people were like, well, I wouldn't want my kids
Well,
for a job in politics.
moving along from the news that stresses us out, I actually wanted to move forward. We're hitting.
All right, get us off it. All right.
Uh,
Wait.
well,
Before we
before
go
we
to the next
do-
topic.
Hold on. Last.
Before we do, I want to say
closing
something
arguments.
about
thoughts.
yes.
Sure.
All right. So I had one thing I want to say about Jimmy Carter too. Is the only good thing I think he really did with his presidency was giving amnesty to people that were dodging the draft. I think that was probably
yeah.
the best thing he could have done.
Great
because
person.
none of that should have happened from the get go. So all right, that's all I gotta say about it.
Anybody else? Final thoughts on the
I
politics
just
side of
want
our
to
news?
say. I just want to say.
Hold on,
that,
Tyler.
I wanted to find the picture of Jimmy Carter sitting in a wheelchair last week, and he was like,
No, don't.
That was his birthday.
No, dude, it
yeah.
looks like
Was
you,
it?
bro. Yeah,
He's
he better
old.
be lit. He's 100. He better have some good scotch on his 100th birthday. You kidding me? I'll be sitting just like that too on my 100th birthday. You could.
I have some scotch right now. Oh no, I can't do that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. No.
It's a Sunday night. Come on.
Don.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
I think we don't get complacent because the powers that be, I do feel the powers of momentum shifted. I do feel like the powers that be have decided we're going to deal with Trump. Whoa. Can you guys hear me?
I
Yeah,
can hear you
yeah.
just fine. Yeah.
I'm getting some.
You are sounding beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hold on a second. All right. Sorry. I was just playing. I accidentally hit the YouTube button and I heard myself. I'm going crazy. I think the powers that be have almost decided Trump's going to win. It's too big to rig, literally.
I was thinking that before.
I just want to say this. I think it's so important that Trump lost in 2020
Oh yeah.
because it showed and
It was,
revealed things
the great
for what they
reveal.
were. It
Yeah,
really
great
was,
reveal.
and so much is going to between election integrity and things like that. Trump is going to be so much more of a powerful force coming in. I really do think it. But this isn't be complacent. Get out and effing
Vote.
vote.
Vote early if you
But
can
He
too.
might have all three chambers, and if he has all three chambers, and he has RFK as the attorneys generals, he have Tulsi Gabbard as Secretary of State or something like that. This is going to be the most powerful administration that we have had in our lifetimes. This is going to be insane. That's why they took down P Diddy. They took his tape.
freaking
So Trump doesn't have
Avengers.
access.
Let's go.
This is crazy, and
Isaiah.
I'm scared. I'm cautiously optimistic. So, oh my gosh.
Everyone go on vote.gov. Vote.gov. You can register to vote in your state. So easy.
Looks like Isaiah says, unfortunately, I didn't vote due to my 18th birthday being an election day, and they didn't register me in the time. Is that in 2020, or is that for this coming election?
You know what,
Is it-
Isaiah? Also, you know what? Bring two friends. Bring two people. Bring your grandmother to vote. You know what? Just do
And it-
your part because it
and if you-
matters.
Grandmother.
And if you register as a Democrat, you get to vote twice.
Or if you
so-
die,
So
you
in
get to
life
vote.
echoes in eternity, as they
that
say.
goes in eternity. So definitely get out and
if you
vote
live in
on
if you live in a liberal state,
here we
find
go,
someone
here.
who's dead.
past
Dude.
election. So Isaiah,
Oh, good.
yeah, get
Good.
out and vote. Hopefully we
Get
see
out
you
and
out
vote,
there
baby.
November 5th.
I'm
buddy.
gonna make him. Don't worry
Perfect.
about that.
Make them do that. Make them vote.
Listen, half of my job, like I live in
Remember,
Connecticut, right? And
vote or die.
liberal state. Everybody's freaking everybody I know
Connecticut
there.
shade rapper.
All the nice, even all the Dominicans and everything, black dudes I know, they're all voting Trump, like no question.
Can we just talk very quickly, brief segue on Obama, just kind of talking mad trash about like the black people?
That was fucked up.
Yeah.
Dude,
He
I
can
have-
he only has room to talk to half of them because he's only half black. by
Do
the
we
way.
have that clip, or do you want to share or no?
I don't have it.
This
I
is
don't
gonna
have
sound
it.
like the most white guy thing. I'm sorry, because there's no other way of saying it, but I have a number of black friends, and they're all voting for Trump, or they support Trump. Like, it's just, it is what it is, and it's just, I find people who have seen some shit know what's going on more than a lot of other people. All the crazy freaking freaks are all like white liberals from Boston in my area. Like, really, it's and I shouldn't say liberal, leftist, and it's just it's really people that have seen some real shit. Really actually understand the world for what it is, and that's why
People
you see
that have
unions
struggled.
breaking for Trump. Right.
Right.
You see the blue collars. That's why the blue collar community really are the people that make they're the electorate, because we're the ones, families, people with families, real lives, not living in this freaking academia bubble of academia and this. They don't realize, like, and it is true, we are kind of living in two worlds. We literally have a population that believes Trump is evil and will put, I had a person tell me that Trump was going to put all the gay people in camps. No joke, no lie. He absolutely believed this to his core, and there was nothing I could do to change his mind. And it's like, dude, where are you? What are you paying attention to? And then there's the other side. It's really crazy. And
I have the clip actually for Obama where they're just short.
Oh, you can go ahead and can you present on your side?
Yeah, I'm gonna present
pull-
right now.
oh, we
Pull
can
up.
do that. Oh, we've leveled
Game
up.
changer.
I've told you about this. How do you think I'm doing all this?
I'm
on
gonna
my
Jeffrey
own?
Tubin.
With 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Let's go.
There you go. Add it to the stage.
Somebody who has a history
Grandson of Adolf Hitler.
of denigrating you
Oh,
Look into his mom. She was a real piece of work.
because you think that's a sign of strength, because
Pretty bad.
that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable. Your thing.
Oh, did you
no,
guys-
aborting your babies is what makes you a man.
All right,
Aborting your
listen.
girlfriend's babies.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Look at when you guys get a chance.
Oh, I can
in-
say so
inclu-
many things, but not
inc-
this episode.
including the viewers. We're gonna
Can
move
we do an
forward.
Obama episode?
Eventually? Yes,
Oh.
definitely.
I want to do
Oh.
get his brother to
that's-
come on with us, Malik.
If we do,
Salwinsky,
but
yeah.
but just remember the drones will come.
That's okay.
I'm
I
nervous.
got
Should
the-
we not be doing this
That's-
podcast? I feel like the drones are going to come for us.
Honestly, you
Obama
could
is much
honestly-
safer to
you could-
talk about than Hillary, to be honest.
You could
so.
name the Obama episode.
I think
the
Obama's got a
drones.
sense of humor. Yeah.
You could name the Obama episode the drones will
What's his
come.
full name?
'cause
Barack Obama Hussein.
Hussein Obama. Yes.
Who cares?
Wow.
America is so racist
Santoro.
that they. Well,
it's,
let's not talk about his wife's real name.
regardless, we're not gonna make this an Obama episode. We got a
Big
lot
Mike.
to move forward on. Historic news happened this morning, but I wanted to have one last thing. If you guys get a chance, including our audience, go to that video, pause it, take a look at the faces of the people surrounding him. They are not happy with him. They don't.
No.
They don't.
Because you know what he did for Black America, saying this as a white person? Nothing.
He's gaslighting.
We
divided
literally, I
everything.
remember, okay, I just was quick anecdote because I think this is really good. In 2000,
Last one.
In 2008, right? So I went to film school, right? And in 2008, I was on this really amazing gig. I worked for 6 months for the South Korean news company, and we went around Florida and Atlanta, and we basically would film we'd film like interactions between American speakers, and then they'd subtitle it. We'd edit it. It'd be like a cool little educational bit, and they'd subtitle into South Korean, and South Koreans would learn how to speak conversational English. And one of the things we did, we
Yep.
went to the
There it is.
University
Sorry.
of Florida in Orlando,
Up
right?
there.
And UCF, and we filmed this whole thing, Obama's inauguration. People were in tears. I did not vote for Barack Obama. I actually, originally in that election, I liked Dennis Kucinich, but then I actually ended up on a Ron Paul guy. Ron Paul got me, he radicalized me, guys.
Me too.
You know, yeah, really. Yeah. So, and I met
Tea
him
Party
up here in New
gang for
Hampshire,
life.
really. And he really got me thinking about things. And I didn't go, and that, I thought I was going to be a Democrat until I met Ron Paul. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't know what the hell I am. And I'd never voted for John McCain, didn't vote for Mitt Romney, none of that. I wrote in people, but I always voted. Okay, but that's, anyway, people were crying. Watching
didn't.
the inauguration, I was teary because I was like, this is it. This is the final, we had 1776 when, we proclaimed freedom, but we couldn't do it enough. And we were still trying to realize that idea. We had the Emancipation Proclamation in Lincoln, and I felt finally we hit Obama. Finally, we've done it. We've united us. Finally, we're all together. There's no blue America. There's no red America. There's only the United States of America. And by 2012, it was off. Once he got reelected, it was off the freaking rails. Identity politics, and it was all about race. And you know what? Screw that.
He set us back
because-
with race relations for sure.
But
It's the cultural revolution. It's exactly what happened
Right.
in China. It's a cultural revolution. You put people in little camps, and then you can make them do things.
Social
They
Marxism.
don't even care about people who are gay. They
division.
don't care about the LGBTQ alphabet squad. They don't care.
Right.
They're using you to make you vote for them so they can do things that, and then distract you with video games and weed and alcohol and do whatever. Anyway, rant over. Go vote.
We're gonna do a big episode on that, on the four olds and such, and cultural Marxism. It's actually coming up in a few weeks, so just keep an eye out for our schedule. So back to historical things. We've started at the historical of Obama, and now we're gonna go to the historical of catching rockets out of thin air. This morning, I think it was SpaceX
Pretty cool.
fired a rocket into space, brought back down the booster, and they caught it with a tower. It's absolutely amazing. Check out this footage.
3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Vehicles pitching downrange.
After engines. Is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Booster
Coming up
total.
on hot stage separation confirmed.
Booster coming in. See how fast this vehicle is moving on the left hand. Landing burn.
13 engines.
Booster having burn shutdown.
Megavilla has popped the booster.
At the launch tower.
What an incredible view! Wow.
I don't know about you, but we're losing our stuff up here.
Crazy. It's insane. What do you think of that, Tyler? I know you and me were talking about it this morning.
Elon is just something, like when it comes to NASA, you don't really see a lot of technology. You don't see a lot of new things going on. And then Elon said, let me just do SpaceX. And
The hell?
he's just killing
He'll be
it,
back.
and I just literally I'm in awe, just like I saw an old clip, actually, matter of fact, this morning. I didn't even tell you, Steve, but it was just like one of the missions he was doing, and you can just see him running outside trying to see the rocket land, and it just unbelievable, and I think what he said, which I think is going to be true, I think he is going to go to Mars. I think we're going to have colonization. There's not much. I don't think anyone else in his kind of mindset is doing what he is doing anywhere in the world. And if you guys feel the same way, I just feel like there's going to be really cool things happening. And it's in Texas, which that's where you are, Steve. So that's cool.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. I'll send it off to Damien after this, but I just wanted to say one thing I thought was really cool. That back in the day, NASA, the guy that ran NASA, Werner von Braun, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole I'm not going to get into.
Don't
He
even
wrote
start.
a book. We're not going to start because we'll be in another 4 hours like last weekend. But Werner von Braun wrote in a book that a man named Elon will take us to Mars, and that's back in the 50s or late 40s, I believe. But Damien, your thoughts, Don, your thoughts after, and then we'll move on to the next one here.
Okay, so people that see the video, they don't realize how impressive that actually is. So I work in aerospace, as many people know, but not in rocketry, but I still understand a lot of aspects of it. Getting something to go up with thrust fairly easy. Getting it to come down and stay fairly stabilized to be able to be caught by that tower is absolutely astonishing. I am so impressed by that. Great job, Elon. Don?
I mean, that shows the power of the AI. I mean, the thing is, you have Jeff Bezos partying with his, model girlfriend or whatever,
Blue Origin.
on a
After his
yacht,
wife left him and took half his money.
Right, good for her. I'm just kidding.
The American
I'm just
dream.
saying. I'm just saying. He's off doing his fun, which is great. Elon Musk. He just got a new hair. He got some hair plugs in there, and now, Elon Musk is still working. You can see by his belly. He's a working man. He's not doing anything. He's not out there doing jujitsu like Mark Zuckerberg and all this. He's literally building spaceships. And the thing is, what people don't understand, Tesla is not a car company. It is a tech company.
Absolutely.
And people don't understand. He has the
100%.
Boring Company, right? What is the Boring Company? Making tunnels? No, he's building the tech for Mars and the
And
moon.
flamethrowers.
Because the second we start to get to moon, we're gonna need to dig tunnels. And Elon Musk has it ready built. Oh, he already has all the electric cars, so the Cybertruck. The moon, baby. That's from they're using solar panels to power the grid. Like that's all he's building all this tech up.
It's all space travel.
Everything. Neuralink,
This is-
everything. He's already just prepping everything for this. I mean, from the solar, he ran, what was the company? Solar City, or what was it? His company that he absorbed into Tesla. It was a solar panel
Boring?
company.
I think it was Solar City. I think.
Yeah, Solar City or something like. I can't
Solar
remember.
Era. There was one of them was a
But
scandal.
dude,
One of them was
this
good.
guy. I don't care. People think he's whatever. Yeah, he's a little crazy. You got to be a little crazy. But what he's done, I mean, just buying Twitter and finding that money and doing that, and then creating that platform and being like FU and releasing the Twitter files. People, I literally, the people on the left who I feel like I was a part of years ago about
Me too.
free speech, and now are suddenly like, he's evil for that. It's like, dude, what? He has been probably the most important. He's our Edison. He's our, but more important, because I feel like he's just doing, I don't know, he's an alien or he's a time traveler or
Do you think
something. But
I'm
Elon
cool
Musk-
with either,
Antichrist.
to be honest.
or he's the Antichrist, maybe.
He's the
I don't think so,
Antichrist.
though. I don't think so, because
Well, the Antichrist is supposed to be a
is about
military veteran
deception,
anyway.
right? And Elon Musk, every single part of the way, he's been about openness. He says, "Why did I start OpenAI? It's because AI, it shouldn't be centralized, right?
Oh, I agree.
All need the ability." So the things he says, it's like Trump. People say Trump is the devil, and I'm like, but actions. Judge a tree by its fruits, right? Not by what they say or what you think, but their actions. Nothing they're doing seems to be antithetical to the way, the good way, right? It seems like what they're doing, they're trying. And yeah, you're gonna have warts. You're gonna have to fight, dirty. You're gonna have to. But I don't know. I'm a big fan, and I love watching it with my kids. My 5-year-old, my youngest, the rockets, they get so excited. I'm like, this is real. I want my kids to work for SpaceX. I would, you know what I mean? I want them to go to that. Like, that is just, it's a beautiful thing. Like, I don't know. I'm so thrilled. I don't know. I'm filled with optimism right now.
I've been feeling really down lately, and actually seeing that video today, it
Can I
was
just
the
say
first time I felt excited in a while.
We just entered, I don't know, the harvest moon, this last harvest moon, right? It was the full moon right before the autumn equinox, right? Autumnal equinox. We actually, it was a time of eclipses. We had a lunar eclipse, we had solar eclipses. We had a solar eclipse earlier this year, which I don't know if you guys saw. It blew
I saw
my gosh dang mind. I saw it in totality with my 5-year-old.
We saw it in totality. It hit Dallas.
Steve, it's crazy, right? It was
Yeah,
one of the craziest things you've ever seen.
You know what's crazy? It's probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
In
But
totality,
my sister planned a trip to come visit me on that exact week, 6 months, 7 months before we even knew it was a thing. We went to the Fort Worth Botanical Garden to watch it, and they had a huge party there. It was amazing. I've never heard some.
No, I never
Dude,
knew
that
it was
was-
an eclipse chaser thing. We went to Jay's Peak in Vermont, and they had Pink Talking Fish there playing. They played Dark Side of the Moon, the whole cover album of Dark Side of the Moon for it.
Better
It was
than
like,
acid.
bro. And you know what I do? I want to travel now to see the eclipse. I think that's a tangent, but eclipses energetically is a time where they say that it's resetting you to your true path, right? Lunar, if you follow lunar cycles, which is important energetically, which I think could be a whole other episode, lunar cycles, solar cycles, but eclipses are very, very powerful. And this year has been a year of eclipses, and eclipses are setting things energetically on its true path. And for some reason, I feel like we're on it. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we do got to move forward here. I do have another article, and speaking of smart people, we want to make sure that our children are also smart and they're staying smart. And it looks like a judge, I forget exactly where. I know it's in the actual video, but a judge has ruled that the EPA must regulate fluoride. That fluoride levels are too high, and they've actually found. Well, we've known this for years, but
I've talked about it a lot.
they found that it's actually lowering the IQs of children. And
Wait, before you play this, can I just say this for people so that they understand? The argument has been, it's worth it because the poorer people, it's like black people can't get IDs because they're incapable or something like that. You know, the discrimination by low expectations.
No, it's all right. So
right?
the soft bigotry of low
soft
expectations.
bigotry. That's the thank you. Soft bigotry of low expectations. So same thing with under the privileged people. They can't take care of their teeth. We're gonna because we want to feed them all the soda and all that stuff. But if we give them fluoride, they'll also be stupid enough to buy the soda, and it'll help protect their teeth.
Fluoride is meant to be topical. You're not supposed to even ingest it. It's supposed to be, that's why it's good for toothpaste.
Correct.
It goes on, you spit it out. You're not supposed to ingest it.
There's
it's a
been
poison.
multiple instances of spills happening when it's being delivered to the water facilities, and they have to call in hazmat teams.
One thing I'd like to also say is if you ever try to find a video of when they're actually putting it into the water, they're wearing hazmat suits. It's actually, it's a chemical.
It's a
actually
byproduct of the petroleum refining industry.
Just like everything else that we have.
It's not real.
Put in our bodies.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, here's what the news had to say about it.
We have an update to a story we first brought you last month. A federal judge says the Environmental Protection Agency must strengthen its regulations on fluoride in our drinking water. Last month, the Department of Health and Human Services released a report showing a link between fluoride and the U.S. drinking water and lower IQ in children. The judge ruled that poses an unreasonable potential risk to the nation's kids. Low levels of fluoride have been added to America's drinking water for decades now because of its abilities to strengthen teeth and reduce cavities. Internationally, the safe limit of fluoride in drinking water is 1.5 milligrams per liter. But for decades, the U.S. recommended the upper range of 1.2. In 2015, health officials changed their recommendation to no more than 0.7 milligrams of fluoride per liter of water. While adding fluoride to drinking water is not mandated by federal law in the United States, about 75% of the population currently do have fluoride added to their drinking water at the current 0.7 milligram recommendation. HHS researchers found drinking water that has more than 1.5 milligrams of fluoride per liter can be consistently linked to lower IQs in kids. However, the report did not say how big an impact it has on an IQ. This new ruling is seen as a big win for advocacy groups that are against fluoridation. The judge ruled fluoridation poses an unreasonable risk of harm strong enough to require a regulatory response by the EPA under the Toxic Substances Control Act. Stay up to date on this story and others like it by downloading this.
So conspiracy theorists, I think, are up 287 to 0. Maybe
this is why we're doing this podcast, because people are running out of conspiracy theories because they're all coming true.
Mm-hmm. They're not theories anymore.
Oh, Jesus.
So one thing I want to bring up real quick is so fluoride. Many of us have already known that fluoride is bad for a while, and like I said before, it's a poison. It's not meant to be ingested. So if anybody notices, like at Walmart or wherever, you have nursery water for babies, right? But if you ever look in the ingredients, nursery water actually has added fluoride. So why is
extra
that?
Fluoride?
So why is that? Fluoride, first of all, is not good for you. It's worse for babies, and they say, oh, it's for your teeth. Babies don't have teeth. So, has anyone ever
wait,
thought of
can I
that?
say this as someone? When you have a baby, the first thing they want to give it is a hepatitis B shot, which is when I asked the doctor,
what?
How do you get hepatitis B? Oh, it's a sexually transmitted disease, or it's for intravenous.
What are you doing with my baby?
Like drug.
What are you doing with my baby? Oh, well, the mother might have it. Well, you tested my
Yeah,
wife,
for
and
real.
she obviously is neither of those things, right?
My
She doesn't
baby's
have
not a
nothing to do-
heroin addict.
So
and
why do
doesn't
you
go
need
to
it?
orgies.
And you could, I've had to, I've
get
watched the
paid
birth
for
of
it, that's
children,
why.
and I see it in their eyes. The doctor has never asked themselves that question. That's what's crazy.
He
When you
knows.
start talking, they're like, no. It's not even that, because the doctors are very well intentioned. Most of these people, they're not doing this
I'd agree most
for
of them
bad
are.
purpose. They literally have just never even thought about it.
So again, I'm gonna jump in. That's a even bigger picture.
We'll go there another day.
The meme of the NPC.
crazy.
The meme of the NPC. What do we got here? We got a comment here from Isaiah Miller again. If I can find a spare copy of the hazardous spill books, I'll see if fluoride is in it. I'm imagining he's right. Fluoride.
It actually is.
It's probably in it more than likely.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is NPCs. That's how they become NPCs. They don't question things. See, I think the biggest.
Well, that's a whole other conversation about the soul.
Guys, it's sodium fluoride, which I think
Sodium fluoride. Yeah.
who's very famous in the last century for using sodium fluoride on a
The
population.
Germans.
The Germans.
Well, the Nazis.
The big bad Nazis and concentration camps, because it makes people more docile.
Really. Easier to control.
It's chemistry. It's just
It's also-
chemistry. So they say the risk,
GMOs,
your
everything.
IQ being lower is better for the public interest than your teeth being bad, because it'll cost us money to fix your teeth. We'd rather you eating and consuming and being a little dumber. And I know that sounds crazy, but what else is there? I mean, and that's the problem, is these doctors, these people, they're good people. That's what the weirdest thing, that's what the hardest thing I think for people to really understand is when you talk to your dentist, you talk to your doctor. I've had multiple conversations with my doctor about vaccinations. They're good people.
Dot. You're
They're just
100%
ignorant.
right. No, you're 100% right that they're good people, because we always hear it every single time there's an atrocity or something historically. People look in the history book. How did they get so many good people to do such bad things?
The path to hell is paved with good intentions.
They didn't know any better.
Ignorance. They didn't know any better. And that's why we have to have pity for people. When I my doctor, I have to say, Candace Owens, for whatever, love her or hate her, she has an absolutely amazing series on vaccinations. And she literally does, and she's done the research so you don't have to, and it is amazing. And I would, hand to God, every time I had a vaccination appointment for my little kids, I'd watch the episode on whatever was up for the schedule, and I'd watch her and I'd think about it, and I can't remember it because it's so complicated in my head, but I'd almost cram study for it and be able to name off the chemicals and the astringents and all these things that would happen. And I'd lay it out to the doctor, and the doctor would look at me, and you know what she said to me? She's like, I really appreciate that you come in here with facts, because a lot of people come in here and they're just like, they talk to me like I'm the bad guy, and you've been very kind. And now she doesn't even ask. She's like, no vaccines today? I'm like, and I live in New Hampshire. And you know what's great about New Hampshire? I signed a nice little waiver that says I'm against vaccines, and the kids don't have to get them to go to school. And that's, I think, my kids do not have to get vaccinated to go to public school in New Hampshire.
Hey, Don, guess how
Live
much my
free
daughter
or
has?
effing die. 0, baby?
0.
Good
My
for
daughter
you,
was
my
not
friend.
even born in a hospital. She
What
was
about the
born.
Oh.
She was. It was a home birth. There was absolutely no drugs used.
This is what the video
no
was
epidural.
about, Tyler.
100% natural
That's
and
another
breastfed.
episode we should have. That's amazing. Good for you, my
Listen,
friend.
Thank you.
listen.
Good for you. Good for you.
It is very nice to live in free states. Damien, I'm sorry.
How
you
is it in
don't, but
Texas?
Texas is amazing. You know what Texas did?
Same
there
thing?
was
You're free if you ignore the laws. Come on.
Listen,
So
in
what do you-
Texas,
okay.
in
Free men
Texas,
have
there
no
was
masters.
a city that almost immediately took the fluoride and stopped putting it in the water. Check this out.
A federal judge in California has ordered the Environmental Protection Agency to address the potential impacts of fluoride in drinking water because high levels could affect children's IQ levels. K-Texas reporter Karina Hollingsworth says the city of Abilene isn't taking any chances.
As of right now, I've directed Rodney Taylor with the Utility Department to stop adding fluoride to the city's drinking supply until the EPA makes a final ruling on what they're going to do.
City Manager Robert Hanna is unsure when the EPA will make that ruling. He said it could be months or even years, and he stresses that the decision to halt water fluoridation is a decision of caution.
There's not a real parallel between what we do in the city and what this research shows. This research was mostly done in foreign countries, mostly with groundwater, and mostly in areas where fluoride occurs very, very high naturally.
The city manager says the city of Abilene previously followed American Dental Association recommendations.
We treat our drinking water to 0.7 parts per million of fluoride. That's the recommendation by the American Dental Association. The research that this judge relied upon, they had levels that were 1.5 parts per million all the way to 4, 5, 6, 7 parts per million. So dramatically higher levels.
According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, water fluoridation keeps teeth strong and reduces cavities by about 25%. But
Supposed to
Carol
be
Crockett
topical.
says she agrees with the city's decision.
I know a lot of people don't drink like tap water. They buy a lot of their water, but I think that's probably one less thing for them to worry about. I mean, the young are like the future. They're dealing with a lot of things now as it is. And so I think that's just a great idea to, like I said, to be focused on the people, but even more so to be focused on the young children. So I think
She's
that's
so docile.
good move.
Hannah says City Council will have an opportunity in their upcoming meeting on October 3rd to make a decision on whether or not they would like
This
to
is
continue
big. This is
fluoridating
huge.
until
This has
the
been going on for
EPA
decades,
makes a
this
decision.
argument.
Reporting for
Yeah.
KTexas News.
And you know
Karina
what?
Hollingsworth.
When RFK comes into, if the RFK gets into the administration, this is going to happen. This stuff, a lot of this stuff is going to happen.
So
I sure hope so.
I think they're preparing for Trump to come back in because he's kind of laid out everything that he wants to do. We don't need that meme right now. Come on, dude. Let's focus on this right now. Oh my God, what is that? Bring it up.
What?
Oh Jesus.
That looks like me when I wake up.
Oh my God, I love Steve Buscemi.
Me too. He's a great actor
And a great patriot too.
That was a good meme. Thank you, Tyler.
Come on, that was a good meme, Steve. Come on.
That was a great meme. I thought it was like I didn't know what the hell was on. I see a little picture on there. I'm like, oh boy, we're about to get
Yeah,
nuked.
let's not get banned. We just started this channel, guys. Come on.
Yeah, we just hit 200 subscribers.
That's okay. We're under the radar, so
under
we
the
get away with
radar.
a little bit for now.
We're not censored.
Oh no,
He'll be back.
he'll be back. What happened, Don?
It's the CIA is getting them for the fluoride talk.
Oh my God. Well,
So let me ask you a question, both of you guys, really quick. What do I do about fluoride if I was watching this and I'm like, shh?
welcome
what do I
back,
do?
Don.
I hit a button. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We all do.
Do I buy
Buttons
filters?
exist.
Like, what do you recommend? What do you recommend if you want to have fluoride like out of your drinks? If you
This
have
is
every
a
day?
big question. I just want to say this right now. The
Yes.
three top couple things you can do: filter your air and filter your water. And right now, let's have a quick talk about
Yes.
filtering your water.
Yes.
I used to have a Berkey filter for a decade. I had a Berkey filter, and they can't sell the black Berkey filters anymore because they put silver in there, and the FDA and a lot of governments come after them and a lot of stuff about testing and this and that. And I haven't been able to get the black filters anymore. And there's a lot of stuff, and I'm looking on Amazon, I'm looking on countries. I don't know where I'm in limbo right now of where to get my water filter. I've always had a stainless steel gravity fed Berkey filter. You pour the water in from the tap, it goes through black filters. And then underneath it, depending on the city you're in, if they fluoridate, you can get these white filters that filter down take out the fluoride, and the water drips through it, and then you just pour yourself some water. That's the water I've drank for a decade.
I had almost a decade of well water.
Yeah, those are
and
usually
that
like a
was wonderful.
5-stage, right?
The well water was
2 stages.
amazing.
You
for a
still need to
decade.
filter well water. And as a real estate agent, I'm telling you,
Yes.
with radon and things in the water, I've seen a lot of well tests. You always look, Dr.
Filter your
Runoff
Runoff
water.
goes into the soil.
If you don't filter
All
your
of
water,
the,
you are the filter.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but
Don't let
here's the
your
thing.
organs be the filter. Filter
But
your water. You
Don,
get the well.
Just remember,
Don.
Steve, even with well water, all the runoff, all that stuff, it goes into the soil and it ends up
Yeah,
there eventually.
all-
So the
all
soil
the,
does filter most of it, but not all of it.
You're talking about all the Roundup and stuff. Listen.
I'm talking about
So-
everything, dude.
so
you got chemical
Don-
spills in Ohio, and the FDA tells you that the water's fine to
that's
drink,
true.
even though it killed everything in like
Or
a
you
20-mile
take a shower
radius.
and you're like, why is my head?
Don, what you were saying
why does
is
your
that we
skin
become the
get
filter. So
blotchy?
over the
Yeah,
last,
your skin.
since they've established the Rockefeller means of medication, all the modern stuff, we've been the
It was
filter.
a whole episode about how the American Medical Association, Dental Association, all these things came to be
Dude,
the FDA with Rockefeller money.
Cigarettes make people the
It's a
filter.
gang.
Medication makes people the filter. It's all they use us as human filters for their medical and
My poor liver.
That's a rabbit
industrial
hole.
waste.
That's a rabbit hole that we'll go down in another episode for sure.
Anybody, any closings on that one, guys, or can we?
I just think it's no. How do you guys? I just want to quickly. How do you guys currently get your water? How do you guys filter in your water?
Toilet.
Steve, how do you do your water right now? Where do you get your water right now, Steve?
Oh, I buy every. Listen,
Bottled
so I buy it.
water?
I
Spring
buy
water ain't even always
spring
real.
water.
Always spring water, right?
Always
Not
spring
purified
water.
water, right?
But see, some of these companies,
because like
some of
Dasani's like
these
purified tap
companies
water.
actually lie about it being spring water, though.
So here's a crazy thing about Dasani.
Yeah, some of them
ready?
lie about it because it's easy to.
Dasani is supposing, again, I don't know 100% here because no cease and
Because there's a
desist,
difference.
please.
You've seen the water test, right, where you can taste it. And you're like, I know this is Dasani.
Bro,
yes.
nobody buys Dasani even during
got
floods,
minerals.
hurricanes.
Nasty.
They leave it. What it is, it's reconstituted city wastewater, isn't it? What it is?
Reclaim.
Oh, I
So,
believe
but-
that because it tastes like
but-
crap.
It does taste like crap, literal
You can taste
crap.
Dasani's
reclaimed water, they call it.
nasty.
So it's reclaimed water. But here's the thing about it. That's more than likely the water that is used for all Pepsi and Coke or Coke products. whatever.
100%. 100%.
You just-
Anything
just
that's
can't
been a
take the
bottle
poop.
thing-
They're not sending their best.
Tyler, what do you think of
I got one thing to say after we close this, though.
Of
please.
course, Coca-Cola, obviously, they're using Dasani. That's their water.
Right.
It's just like the Coca-Cola
just-
before all the other craps.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
they just
that means
came up
vitamin
that-
water too. Glisho, everything from that
Oh,
company.
what they figured out. They're like, hey, I wonder oh, here you go. They would rather. Yeah, it's exactly Tyler.
Yeah, that's my comment.
That's savage. Savage.
Every store.
I
every
don't
store.
know what happens. Do they just send it back to
Savage.
Pepsi every so often? How does it work?
They just probably rebrand it, throw new labels on it. To be honest,
Well,
I mean,
they
they
have
ain't gonna
new
let it go to
colors,
waste.
Kind of like a light
What-
teal.
I mean, you
What
can
we're
taste
gonna-
you take Fiji water, you taste that Hawaiian water, but hey, Damien, how do you feel? So, Steve, you drinking straight out of the well tap? Is that what? No, you buy bottled water, Steve. You said
I
bottled water.
I buy spring
What
water,
brand
but
do you buy
another
right
thing,
now?
Ozarka.
Cook.
But I'm switching from Ozarka because Ozarka just got bought out by I think
Damien, what about you?
Nestle.
I have
Nestle's the
city
biggest
water, but
Nestle's that's a whole other
Thief.
rabbit hole.
That's
yes, especially when they're stealing it from Colorado and
All the
for
water
California soy
aquifers,
fields
yeah.
and stuff. Yes.
Yeah. David, what do you do
making
for water?
Colorado. Okay, so I got water, but we got filters and everything. But one of the best ways that people can do to actually filter their water, so the 5 stage filtration systems that you mentioned are really good. Those mostly filter out like minerals and stuff. Maybe not as good for chemicals. But the only clear way you can do it is distilling it, which is basically you boil it.
I have a distiller.
And you have a catch that catches the vapor, and that literally purifies the water. So the only way to get pure water is to boil it and get the vapor.
You want me to go get it? I'll show you it.
Well,
Oh,
no,
yeah, in a
distilled water
second.
has distilled water is
I'll
not
be
good
right
for
back.
you.
No, I'm saying
Distilled
if
water
you
has nothing in
distill
it.
the water itself, well, yes, it has no
No,
it
that's
has
not
no,
good. No,
minerals.
So you don't want distilled water either because
You want
distilled
some
water has
minerals.
nothing.
That's
Right.
why I said the only way for you to actually have it the purest is what
Purest,
I said.
because it
good
breaks it down to
water.
H2O. So
Yes,
another thing,
it makes it its purest form. I didn't say that was the best for you because there are a lot
takes-
of good minerals,
Correct.
and that's
Right.
why spring water is good because it gets filtered
Has
over the
that.
rocks.
And that's why different waters are different from across the world. The Icelandic waters, the Hawaiian
Absolutely.
waters, the Fiji water. Tyler, what about you?
So this is what I do. I'm going to show you guys. So I
Bong
have
water.
a GE
You're a little
fridge.
quiet. Here, turn up your mic.
Okay. How's my mic
It's
now?
just-
Good.
I think
Oh, you just got to
Sorry,
yeah,
move
bring
your
it
phone-
closer
move
to
your
you.
phone wherever
Bring
your
it
mic
closer.
was.
Beautiful. Okay. okay.
Bong
I'm
water.
back in. Beautiful. So this is
Dude,
what I have.
bong,
I
I
have
would
a
rather drink bong water than
Dasani.
I have a filtration system, guys, okay? And I just put the filter in. I pay like $40-50 every 2 months. And it's supposedly, as you can see, gets rid
Wait.
of chlorine, BPA, lead.
I need to ask you a question. Why is it only removing select pharmaceuticals? Like it's like
That is a
Where
great-
which
does it
ones
say that?
I know.
on the bottom left? Yeah, which
Well,
pharmaceuticals
maybe
is it letting?
it only can do certain ones. But that's great.
Some
no,
things
that's
bind
huge.
to the water molecules differently.
Tyler, that's great. Ibuprofen. A lot of people don't realize all the drugs that get
Yeah.
put into
People
into
pee
the
it out.
water.
Shit it.
Yes, and that's why
People
meth
don't
heads.
know
If you
that.
really, if you've ever
Lot of
known
kidney
some
damage.
really, really, really crazy meth heads, they drink their own pee because the pee will get you high.
I'm
Yep.
glad
You know
that we
that?
don't have meth up here.
Nope. But I'm just saying, somebody told me that. I'm not saying somebody told me that once.
Bear,
like,
Bear
meth
Grylls
head-
is looking at you like right now.
I've literally seen alcoholics drinking rubbing alcohol that literally has like
Oh,
the
yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
It's
I've seen.
isopropyl 70%, but it's
That's
it can-
another
Tyler, how much
episode
does that
of
cost you to
addiction.
get set up?
Oh,
Well, I mean, I have the fridge because I rent here, which is nice, so it's like a brand new fridge. But every 3 months I pay like.
Is it in the fridge or is it in the house?
It's in the fridge.
Does it
Okay,
remove?
so
awesome.
Does it take out fluoride?
It gets fluoride. Too.
No.
Yes.
Does it?
Bring it back up.
I don't think so.
Bring it back
I'm
up.
gonna say no.
I'm gonna share right now. Hold on. Let's bring it right.
I have a
back here.
Berkey. I've always had a Berkey, and I'm out of filters now, and I don't know where to go, and I'm lost. So we're gonna have a water episode. I think we should do a
Berkey.
whole deep dive on a water episode soon.
Yeah, chlorine. Okay, no, it doesn't say
Nope.
fluoride. No.
Fluoride's very tricky.
It makes sure to leave in the SSRIs.
Certain
Yep.
chemicals bind to the water molecules.
Correct. You need to make sure you're
different,
having iodine in your diet. Iodine
Yeah, a
in
little
your
bit.
diet's very important.
You gotta listen. That
No.
the lead
PFOA
removal,
is
no
not
good.
is not
You-
fluoride.
PFAS.
Odor and
They
water.
don't. Most filters, Brita filters, things like that, they do not take out fluoride.
No.
And fluoride
Well,
fits
chlorine
into the.
reduction.
So the chlorine is not fluoride.
It's not
Chlorine
fluoride,
is
that's what I'm
chlorine
saying.
is what they put in pools to create bacteria, to stop bacteria. Yeah, it's crap. You're drinking
yeah,
city water.
it,
It's
kills things.
crap. Right. Well, water is the best, obviously, but you still need to filter it. And again, there's bacteria, there's minerals, there's chemicals, there's so much stuff, especially in city water. I mean, you're getting everybody's water recycled. You
City
must
water's the
filter
worst.
your water.
I do not drink my water here in Fort Worth. I tried from the tap, dude. It literally it tastes like
It hits different.
it's horrible, bro. It just tastes. It smells like chemicals. It's awful.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is chemical. They have to chlorinate it, but it's but that's why you have to be safe. You have to fluoride, you have to but the thing is, if you get a nice filter, you can drink the tap water. You just have to filter it.
Guys, have you guys heard what's been going on with a lot of these Chinese hackers?
All right. We're segueing to China. All right. Water. We're off the water. So
Yeah.
if you're not scared enough,
love
I
water.
think what you're talking about is so yes, filter your water, or you're the filter. And also your social security numbers are out there.
Floating around on the dark
They
web.
could have my credit score. That's fine.
My social 000.
So
Yeah.
so that's actually that should be the new protest. We all destroy our credit scores and stop paying our bills.
Almost every American social security number may have been leaked in a massive data breach. The data stolen from national public data was reportedly dumped on a dark web forum by a hacking group called USDOD. The group, which is offering to sell the stolen records, claims to have personal data for everyone in the U.S., UK, and Canada. People potentially affected are advised to monitor their credit reports and manage their passwords effectively. Now, this alert comes as the 2025 Social Security cost of living adjustment is projected to be about 2.5%. That's the smallest increase since 2021.
Wow. I know that that's crazy that they stole all the social security numbers, but what really stuck out to me was at the end where they're like giving social security recipients 2% increase after 200% increase on all groceries in the last couple of years. That's just.
But Steve, I mean, you don't realize this. They have the money, right? But they need to give it to Ukraine, Israel, and literally everybody else but you. So we have the money, Steve. But don't you? I mean, aren't you thinking about everybody else? Come on.
I think come tax time, I'm gonna send them whatever they tell me I owe them. I'm sending them $750 and telling them sorry. That's all I got. Tyler.
It just, I think nowadays, Social Security will be irrelevant soon. I think it's just one of those things that once we're
5
at
years.
a point where
It should.
it's just gonna, it just
It's
doesn't make sense.
it's a hollow thing. It's built on
I call it
nothing.
socialist security.
I wanna say something about that real
guaranteed the
quick.
socialists their power, and then once they're dead and gone, these socialists don't care what happens to us.
So here's a very interesting about Social Security. So Steven Crowder, a lot of our listeners might be familiar with him. Years before he had actually gotten big with his show and his memes or whatever, he had actually recorded a call of him with the organization that deals with frauds, SEC, I think.
Frauds.
FDC,
The government.
something. Well, a certain organization though.
I know,
The one-
but they're all frauds.
Yes, they are. So he had made a call to them and he was basically explaining a Ponzi scheme to them. And he was saying, what can I do about this organization? Let Don back in, by the way.
Oh,
and he was going through
welcome
all this chain of events, right? Saying like, what if, these people, this company lied to me, they stole from me, they did this. And he's giving all these specific examples. And the lady on the phone is saying like, yes, that's terrible. That is a Ponzi scheme, and we'll investigate them. And he's just like, oh, that's Social Security. Needless to say, they hung up on him,
Yeah.
and
I've heard that
it
one.
was masterful. So shout out to that. If anybody wants to hear about how Social Security is a scheme, listen to that video.
Anyone? Yeah.
Ryan, Patrick Bet David actually on Valuetainment had a recent podcast with a guy named Ryan Montgomery.
Is that a snake?
That is a snake. That is my wife's ball python.
Ooh,
Cool.
I love snakes. Awesome.
Wouldn't it be wild if we just watched him die on live stream?
I mean, that's a
ball
small one.
python.
No, ball pythons get big, but that one probably couldn't do too much damage. Oh my god, I
Not
love
yet.
snakes.
He's
I always
waiting.
wanted
He's
one,
biting.
but they're just too much maintenance for me.
They are
Very,
too much.
very nice. She's
That's
very
an
nice.
anaconda.
She's very nice.
She's biding her
My
time. She's like,
anaconda
soon
don't-
I'll be big enough.
When is her skin gonna shed?
She sheds after she eats usually. She has a little frozen mouse, never live food, only frozen food.
Oh, come
If
on.
you give them live food, they're all gonna want the live food. So no,
Yeah.
she's
Eventually they move up to children, and then you got to start.
I
feeding
got a
them the
mouse in my
neighborhood
basement I
children.
could send you. Cows too.
We lost her
big,
once
big
in
enough
a
to swallow a
house.
whole cow.
And we were in place for a couple months. We found her. So Ryan Montgomery is an ethical hacker, and I think people need to understand
White hat.
and important white hat exactly. It's important.
That's
to go out
racist.
there. And actually, I'm trying to look at their website. What his website was, I forget what it was. His website was Ryan Montgomery. Steve, while I'm talking, Google Ryan Montgomery, and check out his site, because you can actually pay monthly, and basically it looks up your emails and where everything has been compromised. Because most people have had all their passwords, everything's compromised, right? And I think this is important because social security numbers are one thing, but your passwords are a big deal. And if you haven't used a password manager, do you guys use password managers?
I do not,
authenticators.
unfortunately, but
I could
all
tell
right.
you my password right now. I mean, if it wasn't being recorded, I would, because you won't know.
I use 1Password, and a lot of hacker people, tech people have told me 1Password is the
They
best.
know that. Yeah.
1Password, you have your 1Password, you change it every 6 months or whatever, and then that is your password manager. Every password I have is like a crazy codex of just numbers.
Mine
And
is
you need
too,
to do that
but I memorized
because
mine.
If you start, no. You memorize one.
like a
Because if
Bitcoin
you-
wallet.
Because if you literally start going onto these sites and going online and looking around, everything's compromised. Everything is compromised.
Yeah,
What
but
they'll
do you guys use authenticators too, or no? Like when you do a password,
depending on the
Hey,
site.
some
hey,
things,
depending
yes.
on the site.
Hey,
Depending on the site.
Do you know what's actually
Especially for recurring payments.
Do you know what else is compromised?
Joe Biden?
Yes, but
His
every
brain is
s-
compromised with dementia.
No, he's
every
compromised the Chinese.
I mean,
every
it could
that
be his
too.
election too.
every single back
child
door to all of
molestation.
our cell phone carriers is compromised right now.
Yeah.
The Chinese hackers have also been trying to get in that way, and I used to work for AT&T, and I know AT&T has some big contracts with the U.S. government, and they've been trying to sneak in through those contracts.
Sneak into
I
those
mean, this
contracts.
could be a rabbit. It could be a rabbit hole. But what if the election was interrupted by a cyber attack?
I'm honestly, Tyler, I'm very worried about that. You know,
I know me and Don were talking about earlier.
As it
yeah,
gets
it's
closer,
like,
man.
I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'm like, okay,
Scary.
I'm scared because like this Madison Square Garden thing, I'm waiting for something crazy to happen.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you
You're
this right
waiting
now.
for something crazy to happen?
No, I'm
That's
scared.
all we've
because
had
it seems
this
like
year.
things are going well. I'm scared.
Secret Soul this year.
It's like it's just been the whole year. It's just been.
I'm
crazy.
going to Madison
What
Square
level
Garden, and
of
I'm wearing my
crazy?
vest under my jacket.
It's
So
smart
that'll
move.
show
You're
you
gonna
where I'm
live
at.
stream it for us. You should just send us.
I'm
video
gonna do.
clips
I'm
from
gonna.
here.
I'm going to.
I was gonna go with you, but I don't have a
absolutely.
vest, so I'm not gonna go.
I can get you one.
All right, fine.
All right, so here's
But
here's
yeah,
the
it's
news.
Did
I'm
I show you
scared that
mine?
there's
I'll
gonna be a
show you
cyber
later.
attack, Tyler. Like you said, I'm afraid there's gonna be a cyber attack on
That's-
election day.
Yeah, and then they're just gonna stop the election for. who
But
knows
the
when.
thing is, can I just say this before we go to this next clip? They have to be able to sell it. If they're gonna let something like that happen, right? They have to be able to sell it.
Bro.
And if there was a cyber attack from a foreign
They're desperate. They don't
adversary,
care about
couldn't
selling
sell
it this
that.
much.
They don't care anymore.
No,
yeah,
no. There is, because they still want to enjoy their beaches. They're still rich. They still want to be rich. They have to do it the right way. They're panicking. I think they're really at like, we're just gonna let Trump win. We're gonna look to the midterms, look to 2028, and just
They have-
block him as much as we can.
Hedge your
They
bets
have-
till the
they
next
have-
election.
They have
Keep the money in the
bunkers, they don't care.
coffers.
Get in the bunker.
I mean, they do care because their
They
comfort
don't want to go
depends
to the
on
bunkers.
us.
They have the bunkers. They don't want
They
to.
don't
They're
wanna go to the bunker.
enjoying their
No.
trips. Are you kidding me? They're having a great life. They go to the 5-star restaurants. They get to do whatever they want. Dude, they don't want to ruin that life. They're not.
They get
want
all
the power.
They get all you can eat cheese pizza.
Yeah,
They have their islands like Little St. James, you know.
They get to diddle little
Yeah,
girls.
that's the problem.
Boys too, like Diddy. You know?
Especially. Anyway.
Listen,
just
the
don't
guy's
understand.
name was Diddy.
Yeah.
He changed it to that. He was Puff Daddy,
Puff Daddy.
for
Right.
years.
Oh, that's really wow. That's a really
He
interesting.
chose that.
Yeah,
he wasn't
you
given
know what
that name.
he was going. You know, they're not quite getting what I do for work. I think I had to change his name up a bit.
Evil likes to bask in the
Oh
sunlight
my God.
sometimes.
Well, so anyways, back to the Chinese hackers. They're everywhere. They're getting in everything. The Chinese know that they can't fight us in a one-on-one battle. They can't invade us.
Did you guys ever play Command and Conquer?
Yes.
The
Hibernian
one where-
Sun all day
no.
long.
What was the one where it was with the
Red-
Chinese
Red-
and they were the
Red-
hackers?
Red Dawn.
Red,
No,
yeah,
it wasn't.
Red,
Red Alert.
Red Alert.
Red
Is that
Red
the one
Alert
where the
was
Chinese
mostly Russian.
hackers? No, there's one. No, it wasn't that one. It was one of them was the Chinese hackers. It was the Middle East terrorists, and the United States had like the super weapon laser. I can't remember what it was called. It's great. Anyway, yes, the Chinese hackers.
Yes.
Who, I
National
believe-
Security Agency is currently investigating a hack that involves 3 major telecommunications firms. A source with knowledge of the matter says the hackers may have been trying to gain access to electronic surveillance systems. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joins us. And Jeff, the director of the NSA, says it's premature at this point to discuss the case. But you spoke with cybersecurity experts earlier. What are they saying?
Not much is being shared right now, Dee, but according to the Wall Street Journal, hackers allegedly backed by China were able to access AT&T, Verizon, also Lumen Technologies to try and steal information that the federal government uses for that electronic surveillance. David Hyde, a professor of computer science at Vanderbilt University, tells us, based on the information being shared right now, some of the nation's largest telecom providers appear to have suffered a breach.
Due to these malicious actors, which are currently believed to be associated with Chinese state-sponsored hacking groups.
According to the Wall Street Journal, these hackers may have been trying to gain access to the systems the federal government uses for court-ordered electronic surveillance.
So it's particularly bad that the traffic that these attackers would have been able to see would have had some strong correlation in principle with activities of the U.S. intelligence and law enforcement communities.
Milos Manic, director of the cybersecurity program at Virginia Commonwealth University, tells us telecom companies are usually prime targets for hackers because of the information being stored.
Companies like that are target-rich environment because they have massive amounts of very sensitive data.
As for what was potentially stolen, Manic says he'd rather not speculate, but right now, not much is being shared.
It's not an interest of national security to publicize the details.
Now, a spokesperson from China's embassy in Washington did respond to the allegations, saying in a statement that the U.S. intelligence community and cybersecurity companies are spreading disinformation. Reporting for the National News Desk, I'm Jeff Harris.
Well,
yeah, so a lot going on there between China, Iran, Russia. I mean, we get hit on all sides.
It's interesting when they're actually reporting.
This is accurate. But
Indian scammers.
Yeah, like we do get hit by all sides, and part of it is because we spread ourselves around so much, which I'm personally not a huge fan of. I understand the argument about the whole world police stuff, but I mean, we need to focus here. And spreading everything too thin, not so good. What do you guys think?
Tyler, Chinese, what do you think?
I just think right now is just a crazy time we live in. I think a lot of the times, I just want to show you another meme. Yeah, so at least India's not worried about getting hacked. You know, a lot of their
Like working for the state government. I've worked
There
for state
is-
government, and that's literally how it is.
There's a benefit to actual records. Everything should be backed up with paper.
Well, it was like Battlestar
that's what I-
Galactica, right? That's literally the whole concept of Battlestar Galactica.
We need to bring back paper. That's why I was just going to comment that.
Dude, books. Speaking of which, I like actual books too. I don't like reading PDFs, man.
I like audiobooks.
Sorry, guys, I'm back. I just had to
Audiobooks
go.
are good for. I
a little
listen to
bit
them
of
at work.
a little bit of micro re-education.
No, we're talking about
Pay the
books.
water
You like
bill?
books, right? Yeah.
So
Paying them.
the thing is with the Chinese, I mean, what people need to really realize is that's how the name of the game is, and I mean, it makes total sense. You know, we are an innovative, and that's why God bless America. Like we just have it. We have it. We innovate. We are the innovators. In Chinese, they're using it to catch up, but they always have the crap. I mean, that's why they're the chips they make are the lowest quality chips, right? That's why they want to take over Taiwan, which is why we don't want them to take over Taiwan until we can actually make the chips ourselves. Then we don't really care. That's
We
really
can
what it is.
and we should be.
Taiwan's
We own the
entire
finish
national
line.
Taiwan's entire national defense strategy is to basically be the biggest, most sophisticated chip makers in the world. Because the second
Get those
they're
chips
not-
rolling.
is the second that the second they're not the most sophisticated chip makers in the world, and we are, we wouldn't. Unfortunately, they're just gonna let. And you remember Taiwan? I just want to say this because again, we say this every time. Taiwan is the original Chinese government.
Yes.
Pre-Cultural Revolution. When Shanghai Shek lost the the Civil War, the Chinese government
They escaped.
went to Taiwan,
Yes.
and that then they're living in exile, and the
Yes.
Communist Party took over China. And I think we should, every time we reference China, I think it's important to say that because people don't know that, and it's very important.
If you want to make them
understand.
mad, Don, check this out. If you want to make them mad, call them like East Taiwan
Well,
for
hey,
China.
No,
That'll-
China
that
would be
really
West
gets them
do
Taiwan.
you guys know this? Just a pop quiz question. I'm sure you guys
No,
know
because
this.
Taiwan's over
Who
here.
was the
China's
first
over here.
national leader that Donald J. Trump talked to when he won in 2016 and he became
Was
president?
it?
Oof.
Was it Xi Jinping?
It was a none.
Nope, it was the president of Taiwan.
Oh, that makes sense.
And that was a big no-no for China. They were pissed, but that was Trump's big power
Who
move. He
cares?
said, "Hi, Taiwan," because you're not supposed to say Taiwan's a freaking country. That was the whole thing in the World
You're not
Health
supposed to say
Organization,
Nepal or
right?
Tibet are either.
Right, that's a whole thing. And I
China's-
think Steve put this in your agenda. I think we should actually have an episode on China. And
I fully agree.
I
I am
am
pretty deep into that. As Steve knows, I have, kind of a what would you call that? A lot of stake in Southeast Asia, so that's
So-
pretty important to me.
Earlier today, I
the
think I was
Asians.
talking. I think I was talking with Tyler about this earlier. That we essentially the growth that China has seen since the 70s is what we should have had. We just sent
No.
all of it over there.
No.
Who did that though?
The
through,
problem
through
is
that bringing them into the World Economic Forum, Henry Kissinger.
Henry
China.
China-
Millions
China-
of people died
No.
because they tried to control everything.
But China was
Straight from
China
HQ.
was a completely
It's a backwater
broken,
country.
backwards, poor country. The
Right.
only reason that they had the growth and became a world power now is because we shipped our entire economic powerhouse over there. Actually,
They had the amount of growth and modernization that we had in a couple hundred years in like 50 years. And that's
right,
what's
but the
crazy. And
reason
then
that they had that is because all of our
We opened our
manufacturing went
markets.
there. We didn't open our markets. We got sold out to the Chinese.
We brought them into it.
we
got
basically
sold.
allowed them to
Our-
be our
our-
manufacturing
Our,
base.
our corporations sold
Nixon.
us out so that way they could freaking have
was it
slave
Nixon?
labor.
Well, he opened up China, and
And,
free
Henry
trade-
Kissinger spearheaded that.
Right.
Free trade
we all know
does
that he-
makes sense in a lot of ways, and I think we should definitely have an episode on free trade and the whole trade
That would be good.
If it's free.
how it all works.
Free,
because
free
it
trade
does-
is phenomenal, but that's not
Mutual.
what happened. That is not what happened. Free trade would have been we keep
There
all
you
of
go.
our factories and China tries to build theirs to compete. What happened was we took all of our economy, the big wigs that freaking needed to pay us more money because we needed more money, we wanted more money.
currency
As-
exchanges.
Right. They
That's
said,
basically what it
"Oh,
comes
we
down
have
to.
all of this slave labor because that's what it is. It's freaking slave labor over there."
Facts.
And
Child slave labor
But it's
too.
not-
and all those
terrible.
scumbags, they
But
said,
China's maturing past that now, because now China's actually hitting that middle ground now, and it's not now. They're trying to push it to other countries because there's not as much slave labor.
So now
in
it's
China
teen
now.
slave labor. Awesome.
Right.
So much
And
better.
the thing with China,
Well, they're-
they,
oh,
they
they-
screwed
they're-
themselves with the one
they're
China
moving up.
policy. The
They're moving up.
demographic.
Oh,
their
they screwed
demographic
themselves
situation
bad.
is real bad.
Yes.
China's demographic situation
That's
is
a
really
big
bad,
situation. Yeah,
which
they
they're
kneecap
gonna try to
themselves.
fix it with automation. That's why they're
Right.
going to robots and things like that. Same with Japan, like things like that. So
Yeah.
that's a whole other episode. I think people get their spines
Absolutely.
tingling a little
I
bit,
am-
but I think
I'm down
demographics
for that.
is a whole good episode on that.
So speaking of China,
Oh wait, hold on a second, real quick. What can we do about that? So China's hacking all our stuff. I think we talked about that. Just
What do we
again,
do?
password
What-
manager. I think
password
is the most
management,
important
yeah.
thing. One
Don't
password.
keep all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, I think one password.
I
We should
love-
like, get as a sponsor.
I love the old people like on Facebook, and they're like, "I'm sorry, I got hacked for the 20th time. Please sign up." for my
I
new
won the
Facebook
Australian lottery, I thought.
Yeah.
A Nigerian prince promised me, you know,
Oh
it's
my
like
The fact
yeah,
that this
and
still
you know what?
works
The Indians
is
target
just...
the elderly too.
Well,
for
that's
that
different.
reason.
That's phishing. That's different
It's
than
phishing.
hacking, because the hacking is hacking people pack and they find your username and password from a database, and then they
But-
apply that to all the other databases automatically. If you're reusing your
Yep.
password in another database,
Especially
Don, those
phishing
two
links,
go-
keystrokes, like
Those two go hand in
Well, dude,
hand, though.
don't even keystroke. Okay, remember Jumpstart? Remember the CDs, the game Jumpstart, like third grade Jumpstart, fourth grade Jumpstart. So I had kids, right? And I was like,
I
oh, I'm
do
gonna
not.
look at the Jumpstart games, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I looked online for Jumpstart.
Oh,
It was
all right, I
bought
do.
by a Chinese company. I went to go download the Jumpstart software on my laptop, and it was like, do you want to allow this company to log your keystrokes? And I was like,
No.
what?
why would that even
No?
be an option?
So instead of Jumpstart Kindergarten, Jumpstart these games, these really awesome learning games, now it's like, yeah, literally like log your keystrokes from a Chinese company. And that's what the whole TikTok controversy was, right? With
Yeah.
Huawei. We were talking about Huawei, where they're building all the cell towers and they're building all the
Yep.
infrastructure. And, you know, we got to get smart on that. Trump was smart on that.
I'm going to go back to say one more thing on this. China would still be a farmer's nation, or at least slightly above it.
90% of it is, ironically.
But
Right,
but
it is.
it would still be that way if we didn't get sold out in the 70s and 80s.
we
by
were
the
sold out by our
corporations.
own government,
Mhm.
and it's very, very unfortunate.
Do you
So
think
they
it was
can
done
get
on
released.
purpose? Or do you
Yes,
think it was done for money?
100%.
No. But
Honestly-
I mean, do they think they knew the unintended consequences, or do they think they were just trying to get rich?
Money.
Honestly,
money,
I don't
money.
believe that it was intentionally to destroy the U.S.
I think it was to
see,
make some backside
China-
deals, make some
that
money.
that was part of it, but China had a lot of potential, so it made sense, and they thought that they would even out and they would be, you know, a first world democratic nation like us, because
Well,
you know
also a counterweight to Russia, right? So we have to think about in the Cold War, we thought by strengthening China, that would be a counterweight to Russia.
why would
the
they think
USSR.
that though?
But
because
Russia was
check this
always a
out.
paper tiger.
Who was the
always, in
main
my opinion.
perpetrator of the Cold War when in Southeast Asia with Vietnam and Cambodia and Korea?
China.
So it makes no sense for them to think that China would be a counterweight to the USSR.
We fought the Chinese in the 70s. We were fighting them.
We've
They were
fought
coming
them
out.
I mean, the
multiple
Korean War,
times.
right? We were
Multiple
fighting a
times.
proxy war, basically.
Right.
Vietnam
But-
too.
But
That
the
was a
weird
proxy
thing is,
war with China.
the weird thing is they never talk about the fact that we fought Chinese directly multiple wars.
Hmm.
Multiple wars. It's crazy.
And you know
Yes.
what? Can we just talk about Chinese food restaurants?
Oh,
I think
I can talk about that.
So
They
real
suck
quick,
down here. They're
so first of all, you know,
wonderful in New
I
England.
worked for a Chinese food restaurant once. I was a delivery driver, and
Awesome.
you know, I believe they used to bus people in from like Chinatown. They'd pick people up in New York City from Chinatown and bring them in. And you know, the original, like, you know, when you see all these Kowloon, like the old Chinese lounges, like they were like
Mm-hmm.
lounges, right? Karaoke lounges. There's actually immigration laws that are based around that, because if you owned a
That's
corporation,
crazy.
you could become an immigrant. So what they would do is people would basically cycle being on the board of the ownership of these companies. It would basically be a whole immigration chain. You'd be
Like
I'm
Shell.
an owner of this company for 6 months,
Yeah.
and then I'd be an immigrant. Then I'd be allowed to get a visa. I'd allowed to become a citizen, and this and that. There's a whole immigration chain. But like, if you look at that, I mean, so the stuff that they feed us through those companies, there's a giant book I've read at the Chinese restaurant. It's all the stuff you'd order. It's every Chinese restaurant you've ever seen, from the duck sauce to the
Same
signs to the
menu.
names, it's all the same stuff. And it's like, honestly, Chinese food may be a bioweapon.
Chinese food
looks good,
over
though.
there, nothing
It's-
like it
oh,
is
of course.
here.
Oh, no, it's nothing.
They don't use like they pour so much sugar into everything that
The
we
Chi-
have. Like Nestle and Hershey, they had to make entirely different strains of chocolate for the Asian market, because when they were trying to market their chocolate over there, they bit into it and they're like, "Oh my god, this is too sweet."
But it's not sugar.
Light
It's
and day.
it's another
Night and day.
another
Those corn
byproduct.
syrup. The Chinese people that worked at the Chinese restaurant never ate the Chinese food on the menu. They would always make other stuff for
dude.
themselves, and then they'd feed us all this crazy stuff. That's why
They
you
would
feel
roast
so
or boil
sick.
their food, not use all those
It's
sauces. All that sauce is like
crazy.
No good.
It's
It's
basically
all
like
and it's
syrup.
just coming over in just crates of just like Chinese food, like bins, buckets of duck sauce and whatever chemicals. What is it's literally? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
there's
a way.
massive
And if you think
wholesalers.
about it, like Chinatown and things like that, and that's a way of just kind of hollowing us out. And also, real quick about China, fentanyl. Let's just this will be another rabbit hole for another day.
They sell it to
But
all the
they're
cartels.
pushing it.
But that's
They're
going
bringing-
back to like what I was saying. They know they can't take us on a regular war. They need to do other things.
Asymmetrical
Subversion.
warfare.
Mhm.
Asymmetrical warfare. They're sending the fentanyl over here. They're sending it to the Mexican cartels, and they're shipping it out. Just like the opium wars, right? When the English were pushing the opium into China, and that's another rabbit hole.
Oh yeah. Well, let's move on now because we're gonna get into our deep dive.
Well, can I say one more thing? I was going to say
last
that.
thing.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know one thing I didn't realize? This is really interesting. It's a random fact for today. But if you look at Chinese food and you get it to go, you can actually make it a plate. I don't know if a lot of people know that.
That
but
is
it's pretty
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
So you can literally just
That's what it's
unfold
meant
that
for.
little thing. I never knew that. Like one day I
Most
saw it,
people
and I'm
don't.
like, wait, that's pretty cool, right? Never knew that.
There's a lot of cool things like that you don't
Hey, so fortune
what do they
cookies
call
were
it?
actually
Ergonomic
Japanese.
things.
Fortune
fortune cookies
cookies were a
Japanese?
Japanese thing until World War II, when Japanese wasn't really cool to be Japanese. So
Yes,
the
they
Chinese
became
were like,
Chinese.
"Oh, we're gonna do fortune cookies."
Oh, they got in China pretty deep.
I actually got
Not with any consent.
So speaking of asymmetrical warfare, over the last couple weeks we've been hit with a bunch of hurricanes. Where
Are we doing it? Are we going
we're
down
doing
the deep
it.
dive now?
We're going down the
Is that
rabbit
for the
hole.
headlines?
Grab your
That's
drinks,
all of our
guys.
headlines.
Deep dive
Coffee.
time, everybody. This last week.
yeah.
Wait 1 second.
So it's been crazy,
Cheers.
crazy weather. Cheers. I have coffee
Hold on.
to keep me going.
Bestrovia.
Nazdravia. But they've been
Now
talking
we're
about
gonna
it
be
in the
called Russian
mainstream.
agents.
They've been
I'm
talking
cool
about
with
it
that.
in
I've been called worse. It's cool.
for many years. For many years, they've been saying that
Cheers, brother.
weather modification is not real. It's not real. The technology doesn't exist. They would never do that. The government would never do that to us. Listen, we're gonna go back pretty far here. I
Steve,
got a
wait,
documentary.
Can we just prep this real quick? The last week we had all the hurricanes, and again, I think the news was not. People started talking weather modification because I was afraid. I'm like, this is going to affect the
Yeah.
election. I really thought in the beginning of it wasn't what was the first one? Helene, right? And then we went into
That was awful.
Right, and it was like, whoa, it's hitting North Carolina, and then North Carolina passed all these emergency voting rules now with absentee
100%,
ballots and things like that, and that was really freaking me out. And I'm like, this, and they're doing it, and suddenly everyone's talking about weather modification. I'm like, oh my gosh, and that became the headline. The fact that it hit the mainstream. And I think we need to talk about that because a lot of people that I was debating with, again, they would not believe it wasn't even about would the government do this or not do that. And I'm like,
They don't believe it
were
exists.
you alive in 2020?
Right.
Like, we just went through all this stuff, right? But
the patents exist. They're
people
there.
didn't even believe that the technology existed. And I'm like sending an article of like the 70th anniversary of the first time they dropped, ice into a hurricane and it accidentally turned right around and hit the United States and killed somebody. And the American
cloud
population
machines,
was
all of
not
that.
happy.
Well,
And then the government covered it up by another
I
study.
actually think I have a video of exactly that. Hold on, let me play it for you.
There is, however, another approach to hurricane modification that was first tested back in the 1960s, following a series of devastating storms.
Herald the approach of gales up to 170 miles an hour.
Hurricane Agnes takes 134 lives.
If only the force of the hurricane's winds could be reduced, the toll in death and damage could be greatly lessened. Is there a way? Project Storm Fury, a joint effort of NOAA, the Navy, and the Air Force, is designed to try to find one.
The time that Storm Fury began was at a period of optimism in how we could beneficially control the weather.
Scientists working on the project were convinced that they could reduce hurricane devastation using a process called cloud seeding. By spraying the thunderclouds inside the hurricane with a chemical called silver iodide. This would become known as the storm fury hypothesis.
Seen from directly above, the center of the hurricane is called the eye. The dense ring of clouds around the center is the eye wall, where large masses of warm, moisture-laden air rise from near sea level to great heights. Water vapor condenses in vast quantities. Some of the condensed droplets are carried aloft where temperatures are below freezing, but continue to exist as supercooled droplets. The seeding planes fly across the eye and into these clouds, seeding the supercooled water droplets from the belt of maximum winds outwards. The silver iodide acts to transform the supercooled water droplets into ice crystals, upsetting the delicate heat balance of the storm.
As the silver iodide turns the supercooled water into ice, the heat released during this process causes the seeded clouds to grow and develop into a new outer eye wall.
And the idea was that outer one would contract in and essentially squeeze off or strangulate the inner one. And as it does that, the hurricane weakens. So the theory is right. If you can make the outer part a little stronger, you make the very dangerous inner core, the eye wall, that's weaker.
There is.
Yeah, so that goes back real far there, Don, with your speakers.
Echo.
Oh, my bad.
Those are some nice
better?
speakers though. It clears up real nice, even coming through as an echo.
Are we better? Are we good? Are we good? I'm sorry.
We are golden. You're
Fantastic.
great. Welcome back, Tyler.
Even better now.
Welcome back.
So, yeah, that goes back to Project Storm Fury, that's exactly what we were talking about, Don. They were trying to stop the storm from being
that was
bad,
in
and
the
it made it worse.
80s. I'm talking about 1947, October 13th, 1947.
That was in the 60s.
No, the one that we were talking about was in the 80s. Project Storm Fury was 62 to 83. Okay,
Yes.
that was a whole program that they ran. 1947 was, and you can look at this on the Atlantic, the NOAA website. This is the original where they just drove over a hurricane. They're like, well, it's past, it's in the Atlantic now. They dropped dry ice into it on a B-17 bombers, right? They dropped dry ice into it, and the hurricane did a 138-degree turn and turned back into the United States and killed people. And they were public about this because they thought it was going to be a cool thing, and the public were like, what, you just literally murdered people with a hurricane.
Stop.
And people are telling me now
God.
in 2024 they can't move a hurricane.
And Don, and once they got that first taste of blood, they haven't been able to stop doing since.
They mocked Trump for talking about dropping a nuke to the hurricane to defuse it. Like,
Dropping a nuke on a hurricane would be a horrible idea. What makes hurricanes stronger?
climate change, apparently.
Heat.
That's what I've been told. And racism. Climate change and racism is, causing all of this. That's what I've been told from CNN.
The United Nations Environmental Modification Convention. People around the world have met about this and voted to make it illegal to do it to each other. Like, it's a thing. Like, they wouldn't do it if the technology didn't exist. I mean, Dubai literally had a whole flood recently because they
that was part of our last week.
That's just cloud seeding. But that's just a different
They
thing.
make all their own islands too. Like, they're doing a lot of terraforming.
Yeah. I think I got a lot of questions last week. People were on, well, tell me, Don, how? Tell me the technology. How are people doing this?
I know we had those crazy questions. This is how humans make it rain.
A rapidly growing population coupled with global warming means that water is increasingly set to become the world's most precious commodity. One of the solutions to this problem can be found within clouds.
An average rain cloud contains about 8 million tons of rainwater, and therefore there's a vast quantity of untapped fresh water in the sky, and this is where cloud seeding comes in to address the growing needs for water around the world.
Most rainmaking techniques used today originated back in 1946, when scientists discovered that by dropping particles of a chemical called silver iodide into cloud tops, they could trigger rainfall. Since then, countries all over the world have experimented with different ways to squeeze rain out of the clouds. China spends more on cloud seeding than any other country in the world.
I'll put the radar on here in the aircraft so you can find out the distance to that cell band. Yeah, if you can see what the distance is, that would be...
Dr. Brunjis is in Mali, West Africa, to test out a new technique he's devised with colleagues at the National Center for Atmospheric Research. It involves the use of pyrotechnic flares to deliver a special seeding material into the base of a cloud.
These are the so-called hygroscopic flares. They consist of salts inside. And as we burn them, the smoke produces the particles, the salt particles, that will then be taken up into the cloud and participate in the rain formation.
Once released into the cloud's updraft, each one of the hygroscopic salt particles becomes a seed around which a single water droplet can form. These droplets collide with each other and grow, eventually becoming heavy enough to fall out of the cloud as rain.
Oh, there's a rainbow up front here.
Weather modification today is an increasingly precise science which can reap huge benefits for the many countries that suffer from severe water shortages.
In the last few years, we've literally been on all 5 continents. A lot of our work focused on Southeast Asia, Africa, North and South America, and then also in Europe, Italy and Greece. There are currently more than 47 countries, more than 150 programs, cloud seeding programs, going on as we speak.
Cloud seeding seems to be making a change for the better for many people in the world today. But it's a science that is born out of a murky and troubled past.
All right, so that doesn't exist.
Don't believe
Nope.
your
Of course
lying
not.
eyes.
No.
Crazy.
My government loves me and they would never do anything to hurt me, regardless of, all the experiments and all the files of, human experimentation and, this and that, mass
Well,
casualties,
I
whatever.
think Steve actually had come up with a good idea. It's like we may have destroyed the freaking ozone and the environment with all our nuclear testing.
That's what I
and
was
we
saying,
started
yeah.
cloud seeding to try to fix the problem, but then we overdid it. But again, if you make that technology, maybe, and again, these people that are doing, these scientists, these people that are doing these things are good people. So they are good intentions, right? They're trying to do
Oops,
something
we
good.
went
They're
too
trying to help.
far.
For
Right,
most of
but
them, I
then,
believe.
but then the technology is there. So you have government people, good government people, you build the technology, but who's actually holding these technology and who's actually in control of them? It's not these little scientists. These people might fund
Bureaucrats.
these people. They
Bureaucrats.
fund the scientists to build these machines, but once they have the machines, who's actually in control of them? That's why if you watch James Bond, read Ian Fleming's James
Absolutely.
Bond. They
Right.
talk about this a lot.
This is actually on our screen here. This is a video from our own channel. It's one of our shorts. Do you guys know who that is?
Is that Brennan? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the CIA director.
Former
And-
director.
Former
Lied
director.
under oath multiple times.
Well,
Still
yeah,
not in
so
jail,
Donald
though.
Trump.
That's what they do. But do you see where he is? The
Council on Foreign Relations.
You guys know what that is? Anybody want to give a quick synopsis to our audience?
I don't want to
It's a-
get us banned, so
it's-
I'll pass.
It's a think tank basically, and it's one of
think
those
tank,
like
think tank.
you get to, if you're an academic and you're in the right club, you get to join the Council on Foreign Relations, and they get you. Basically, it's a think tank to
tell them the politicos. It's an establishment think tank. So then when you come into office, right, you come in as a representative or a senator, or you're in a corporation, they advise you on the Council on Foreign Relations on how to do things like that. So
Handlers.
you know, and how to. So basically, they're the intelligentsia of what to do, but they're navigating. You know, the
very
dynamic.
good explanation. Well, here he is, kind of giving his thoughts on climate change and controlling the weather.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI.
Hold on a second.
Do you not hear it?
Why is that our intro playing at the same time?
Oh, because that's our theme song. Come on.
Oh.
A method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun.
We're the freaking Avengers of Truth here.
All right.
I'm straight.
I told you it's our short.
It was so
in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures, providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly.
Yeah, so that doesn't exist either.
Oh, so I want to just. This is exactly. Let's just prove the point home. So I just sent you a link real quick. I just want to. Can you put up this article real quick and put our faces on the side there so we can just look at this?
Yeah, you can just.
I just linked it in the chat.
You have a button as well. It says
I don't know how to do that, and
we'll get you going.
You don't want him having that power, bro.
Yeah, you don't want to see what's on my screen.
All right.
Hey, I'm sure your screen is still cleaner than Vosh's.
So this is just scroll down really quick. Look, 70th anniversary of the first hurricane seeding experiment. Look,
Oof, what was that, B-52?
B-17, baby, even before
B-17. Oh, wow.
This is the originals.
Impressive.
General
Operation
Electric,
Popeye.
right? No, this isn't Operation Popeye. This is beforehand.
No.
So we're gonna start
Operation.
with this. This is the original. This is just, I want everyone to be able to look at it. We can link this actually, Steve, if we link this in the comments on YouTube, if someone wants to post this and link this in the comments,
It won't work, but I'll definitely put it in the description.
Yeah, put it in the
It'll
description.
be in the description. Check it for after the show.
2 mass droppings of 50 pounds of dry ice, right? And it literally turned the hurricane around. So let's just start there for a second. Then we can go to Operation Popeye, which is another thing, which I think, let me pull that up. You can pull that link up really quick.
Wait a minute.
I have that link here. Put that up. Operation Popeye.
Tyler has it up on the screen. All right, I guess I don't need to do the screen anymore. There we go. Awesome. Well, I guess I do need the screen. Hold on here. Tyler. We're losing people now.
We're getting better at this.
We're not boomers, I swear.
I'm a boomer at heart, to be honest.
Operation Popeye.
Parts of me.
I yell at people like kids on my lawn.
And this was successful. They did this successfully. This was just rain seeding, no problem. This was in the 60s, okay? So it goes on and on and on. I mean, here, and Steve, I really want you to play this clip, which I just sent you. I apologize for not sending you sooner. So I clipped this actually from a C-SPAN clip from the 90s.
Yeah.
This is pre 9/11. Now, there's a lot of backstory to who these people are and what's talking about. So just a quick, they were basically talking to people about militias and things like that. And there's a lot of backstory which we're not going to go into, but just know that this has been being talked about for a long time.
Tyler, you could run it. I'm totally fine with that. Give me a little break here. There you go.
That?
Beautiful.
Oh. How do we do that? All right.
Yeah.
No sound. Click the sound. Oh, now I just see Steve. Oh.
Hi. Okay,
beautiful.
Let's see here. Well, he's learning too. So bring it up. You could add to the screen. There we go.
Can't hear him though.
Click. You got to hit the sound button.
You got to unmute
Can't hear
it.
you, Tyler.
There you
go. Okay.
So that the American government
There
has
we
created
go.
weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest. Would you explain what you were trying to say?
Well, what I was trying to say is exactly what I said, There is weather control techniques. We have a complete package on that, which I did not bring, but I certainly will see to it that it is brought in for the record. Number one, the entire patents on the equipment. Number two, Senator Claiborne Pell's complete statement and story of his own that not only does it exist, but that we even utilize it as far back as the Vietnam War. You might want to touch base
That's
with
all right,
Senator
but
Pell.
I just want to repeat before I turn to
So yes, but we
you're
do
saying
have
that
all
the
that
government-
information.
You're saying the government has created weather tampering techniques so that the, quote, New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans.
Worldwide.
Millions of Americans. And to control the rest.
Yes, sir, and that's my
Mr.
belief.
Worldwide.
As bizarre
You know,
as
say
that
how he tried to
sounds,
pivot.
When if somebody had told me
Like
that
it's only
equipment even
localized.
existed 10 years ago,
Oh,
I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is,
Well said.
it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. As bizarre as that is, I would say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the senator's own statement. So yes, I do stand on that.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Crazy.
June 16th, 1995.
Actually,
All right.
speaking of 1995, I have prepared. Well, I didn't prepare this. Some wonderful people back in 1995 did. But this talks about HARP.
Wait, was this from 1995?
This is actually also it's a
That Senate
1995.
This is very
documentary.
interesting. So we didn't plan that. So
No.
this has been going on for a long time. So 1995 was how many years ago? 30
Almost
years
30 years
ago.
Yeah.
30 years
And,
ago.
and this is what they were
30 years ago.
30 years
and this
ago.
is what they
Think
were
how much
working with
how
then.
ChatGPT is advanced in
2-3
Right.
years.
So now we're working with
6
lasers
months
and all that. But dude,
All right, check this out.
all right, roll the tape.
In 1993, the FAA started warning pilots to stay away from a certain section of airspace over Alaska. The U.S. government was experimenting with a new breed of high-altitude electronic technology that was significantly altering the Alaskan airspace. The experiments continue to this day, and critics are warning that this project could have global effects that will destroy our planet. In Alaska, the rugged, pristine wilderness is timeless, most of it remaining just as it has for thousands of years. In the midst of all this natural beauty, just outside the small town of Gakona, stands an enormous and seemingly harmless antenna farm. It is a $100 million Air Force project known as HARP, and critics of the soon-to-be completed facility charge it just may turn out to be the ultimate doomsday machine.
It's got all the marks of Dr. Strangelove on it.
HARP is an acronym for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. According to program manager John Hesher, HARP is a research facility designed to study the ionosphere.
All the military have communications, surveillance, navigation systems whose paths either traverse the ionosphere or reflect from it. And so we need to be very careful about what we know about it and how we study it. What we're interested in is what is the effect of a large input of energy on the ionosphere.
The ionosphere is the outermost layer of the Earth's atmosphere. It is part of an electromagnetic field that keeps out harmful solar and cosmic radiation. One visible effect of the sun's rays hitting the ionosphere is the aurora borealis, known as the northern lights. The ionosphere also plays a vital role in worldwide radio communication.
The first transmission of radio waves across the ocean were quite a surprise when it was first done. People thought there'd be no chance to transmit the signals across the ocean by wireless. And in fact, what the ionosphere does is act like a mirror. And so you transmit a signal and it bounces off the ionosphere, then it bounces off the Earth.
When HARP is fully operational, it will transmit extremely powerful blasts of high-frequency radio waves directly up into the atmosphere, superheating the electrons that make up the ionosphere. This will cause them to disperse, effectively punching a hole in the ionosphere.
But after you turn the instrument off, this thing kind of moves around and it gets replenished. And within a few minutes, it's back to where you can't even detect that there's a hole anymore.
The Air Force says that manipulating the ionosphere and studying the effect will allow them to improve the efficiency of communications, navigation, and surveillance systems. But researchers outside the military see HARP as a high-tech weapon with global implications.
The way I see HARP as it is right now, it is a premier, top-notch, high-energy radio physics experiment, and has definite military applications.
Journalist Mark Farmer lives in Alaska and has written about the potential impact of HARP for both Jane's Defense Weekly and Popular Science magazine. He believes that HARP will be used to take giant X-rays of Earth.
Earth-penetrating tomography is a technique using extremely low-frequency radio waves. Today in geophysical probing, scientists will use explosives or a machine that thumps the ground to produce these waves, but HARP will stimulate the auroral electrojet to make an antenna thousands of miles long that will emit these ELF waves.
Farmer's research indicates that the extremely low-frequency waves would be capable of penetrating several kilometers into the Earth, ferreting out nuclear storage facilities and other underground military installations.
This is producing surveillance systems able to detect stealthy cruise missiles and aircraft. These are systems that will enable us to communicate at higher data rates and at greater distances with our ballistic missile submarines.
While the Air Force insists HARP is not an offensive weapon and is necessary for continuing national security, Alaskan native Nick Begich proposes a different scenario in this new book.
The things that we found in other Air Force documents, one in particular was a document put together in '82. The document was called Low Intensity Conflict in Modern Technology, with a foreword by none other than Newt Gingrich. One section spoke about using radio frequency radiation transmitters for disrupting human thinking, for basically debilitating troops invisibly by being able to bombard them with radio frequency that was tuned to just the right frequency, in just the right waveform, so as to totally disrupt their mental process and basically debilitate those troops.
Because of HARP's potential to disrupt the Earth's magnetic field, many observers are concerned that it will damage the biomagnetic sensors that migratory animals like salmon and birds depend upon.
Anything that HARP can do to the magnetic field is orders of magnitude smaller than the natural variations of the Earth's field. So I would have to say, no, there's nothing we can do to affect the salmon.
But what generates the most concern by far is HARP's ability to tamper with and punch holes in the ionosphere.
The thing that one of the Air Force documents points out is that they want to use this heater to create enough energy in the ionosphere to get a runaway effect up to the next stabilizing level, whatever that might be.
It's precisely whatever that might be that worries Dr. Patrick Flanagan, a physicist who believes the ionosphere is extremely fragile.
The ionosphere is a chaotic system that is on the edge of instability. So the trigger point for HARP would be that energy and that frequency which throws the ionosphere into chaos. In other words, it would be that point which throws it over the edge.
For example, it is believed that a hole in the Earth's ozone layer has caused an increase in infrared radiation, contributing to the melting of the polar ice caps and forcing New Zealand children to wear protective clothing to school. Flanagan and others believe the potential danger from a hole in the ionosphere is much greater.
It could create a change in the ionospheric shield that protects us from cosmic radiation. We're worried about the ozone layer. The ozone layer is nothing compared to what HARP could do. You know, we're worried about ultraviolet light. That's just very harmless ray compared to some of those energy streams or particles that are coming from outer space that are being deflected by this natural shield around the Earth. And this is what HARP wants to play with.
Critics worry that HARP has been placed in the hands of too few, and that international debate is necessary to fully explore all the potential dangers that this project may soon unleash, a proposal in which the Air Force has shown little interest to date.
Once we open this box, and it is a veritable Pandora's box, we're not going to be able to close it. And of course, once you acquire a technology, you want bigger and better aspects of it. And then we come into the questions of whether or not if we go big, if we go better, if we're going to cause damage to our planet.
Proponents of HARP insist the danger has been grossly exaggerated. The project continues to move forward as scheduled and will be fully operational by 1997.
Next, they started an
Wow. All right. So I got a follow-up video for that. I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I have to play this. It's only 2 minutes. And it goes with that. And it'll make our conversation so much better. Just watch. This is going to be about the non-lethal active weapon called the active denial system. This is from 12 years ago. So it's
Marines and several other DoD
You guys can hear this
representatives
okay?
had quite the heated demonstration at Quantico, Virginia from the Joint
Can you hear
Non-Lethal
it?
Weapons Directorate.
Okay, good.
I can hear it fine.
Move away from the
Perfect.
perimeter.
For some reason, I don't
I
hear
say
any
again,
volume
this
on
is
it.
a military area. Move away from the perimeter.
Their new active denial system, but far beyond any other non-lethal system.
Well, it's a versatile system, and it has a range of non-lethal capability that we can't even come close to with any of our fielded systems today that are in our military forces.
About 7 football fields to give it some perspective. It can deter individuals on a military perimeter all the way up to a riotous crowd. All without permanent harm.
It only penetrates 1/64 of an inch of your skin, goes very shallow into where your nerve receptors are, and there's
Whole lot of PSI.
no permanent injury caused by it.
It's a heat
very
ray.
safe system. We built in some safety margins and training for the operators.
They even let any of the guests volunteer to test out its effectiveness and safety, including the Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, and Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Most described it as feeling like a hot oven or grill being opened up.
It is something that, once again, probably the safest system that we've developed as far as the non-lethal capability.
From Washington, I'm Sergeant Andrew Milner.
That's interesting.
Which, I mean,
Yeah.
granted, it is actually a cool technology because for crowd control, for riot control, you know, I'd rather shoot them with a heat gun that's not going to actually hurt them and kill them with rubber bullets or
You don't
gas
know
or things
that.
like that.
You don't
no,
know
but
that it's
still,
that.
you know,
No,
things-
no,
tear
the
gas
whole-
has dangers.
Non-lethal, non-lethal.
But
It
the
is
reason
tear
that
gas
the
has
reason
dangers,
that I
rubber
brought it
bullets
up,
have dangers.
the reason that I
Directed
brought it
energy.
up is that that's another. I guarantee you that was made in the same freaking lab, or at least similar lab to HARP, and they're weaponizing this stuff. But the reason that I wanted to play that is to show that things like that are also weapons. They're just used on a more massive scale for similar means.
It's all directed energy, and
Correct.
that's really what it is. And HARP, what people need to understand is it's science, it's physics, it's shooting energy. You know, in the 40s they were shooting bombing dry ice, dropping dry ice into the eye of the hurricane or whatever. But now it's directing, then it was HARP was directing, kind of radar type of stuff like energy into the ionosphere, and now it's satellites with lasers shooting
even
in.
like
The only
heating up
difference,
the water.
the only difference between what we were using for guns for a long time and what we're going to be using guns in the near future is the size of the bullets. Instead of it being a piece of metal, it's going to be microscopic particles all being fired at once. That's all it is.
It's the directed energy, I think, is what people need to understand. The technology is how it evolves, and weather manipulation, it's there. It was by lasers, and I think we'll probably have to deep dive into some Tesla technology. I think we need to talk about Tesla and Donald J. Trump,
Absolutely.
as his freaking brother.
Sure.
I think we kind of teased
Tesla
that a while
Towers.
back. Being the MIT
Yeah.
professor, the longest serving MIT professor, tenured MIT professor in history, as the guy the FBI hired to check out Nikola Tesla's patents. I mean, this technology's there. It's been there for a long, long time.
Well, speaking of which, you guys seen the Northern Lights the past few days, and it was kind of strange right after the hurricane, right, Don? And it definitely brought up a lot of questions. Was this a normal thing to happen, or could it be something different? So
I don't know. What do you think, guys?
Well, they always say, after the HARP, it's always the HARP. You'll see the aurora borealis, and there is differences between the actual aurora borealis coming from the sun, and then maybe some more things we're doing here, manipulating our own weather. And a lot of people, we're talking about weather manipulation and things going on over this hurricane, and then suddenly all over the country, people are sharing photos of northern lights.
I got
in places that never have seen them before.
Texas.
Perfect. Let's watch this right here.
It looked like someone brushed a pack of neon highlighters across nature's ceiling. A tie-dye sky draped across much of the country. Wisconsin, New Jersey, the U.S. Capitol. In Indiana, it was as if Earth's atmosphere decorated for Christmas early. The Aurora Borealis is a show with admission typically reserved for colder climates like Alaska or Iceland. But last night, this northern light was a southern sight. It stretched to Texas, Alabama, Florida. The reason for such a heavenly display, an unusually mighty solar storm created by a huge burst of energy known as a coronal mass ejection. Experts warned all that energy could have disrupted power or communications down here on Earth, but all it seemed to do was power our wonder. And odds are good many across the country will see it again soon. A rare kind of storm lighting up the sky in the best way possible. Joe Fryer, NBC News.
Totally
Crazy.
normal. Nothing to see here, guys. Swamp gas.
Yeah, it's normal for Texas to be seeing the northern lights.
And
Weather
Florida,
balloons and
Northern
swamp
Lights in
gas.
Florida. Yeah, nothing to see here. It's totally a rare phenomenon, guys. Very cool.
But the thing is that it's happened like 4 times this year.
Do you hear what the news station said? More to
That's
come.
wild.
More to come.
More to come.
Oh yeah, more to come. So
With
like you
that-
had brought up about
Why did you
like
say
the
it that
northern
way?
lights and stuff.
More to come.
But think about this: when certain things happen, right? So if you're breaking through the atmosphere, so how are like rainbows and northern lights and all this and that? A lot of them have to do with affecting, the particles
Frequency,
in the atmosphere.
particle.
So if something like a beam hypothetically is coming through, it would leave an after effect in the atmosphere because it has modified,
Thank you.
the moisture.
Have a good night.
Wait,
Go
what?
ahead, David.
We had a comment come up on the screen. They were
Oh,
saying,
I didn't see it. I'm like, what?
"Oh, they
Am I
said
dismissed?
good night."
Like what?
Yes, Broomstick Rider said, "Good
Right here.
night, guys. I'll watch the
Oh
rest
my god,
tomorrow.
I don't.
Great show
I don't know who
tonight."
she is, but she sounds evil.
No.
But
We thought we
yeah.
were
So
gonna
like I
calm
was
down.
saying, gotta get back on track. So yeah, so my whole point about like the northern lights right after all these hurricanes and stuff is, and I'm not like, poking too big of a stick, but I'm just saying like hypothetically, it would kind of make some sense if you have some type of massive, event from an outside source that is affecting weather coming through the atmosphere and it would leave a trace of it, I'm just asking questions, as someone once said.
I'm just asking questions, but don't ask some questions.
I just think, guys, that it's the most incredible thing to me is the fact that so many people were talking about it after this time. That the veil has been lifted. People are asking questions about everything, especially after COVID. Everything now, people are like, maybe we shouldn't just take the word from the government. We should think about things. And I think that is just the absolute most important thing that's happening.
Agreed.
It gives me confidence. I mean, really,
Yeah.
I really do believe the universe orients towards justice and that light will always defeat the darkness because darkness cannot overcome light. It just cannot. It's just physics.
Speaking of dawning, you know what dawned on me the other day?
Boy.
Listen.
Oh, is this what is this? This is a surprise. Little
Yeah, well,
surprise, little for the tail end of the show, Steve.
Yeah, a little surprise.
All
So
right.
I've noticed we're the great reveal, right? And I know it has to do with the apocalypse and lifting of the veil, but I realize we're
Is that Bill
basically
Gates?
it is Bill
Is that
Gates.
Bill? Big
It
Bill?
is
Big Bill.
basically the opposite of the Great Reset. So we're the Great
Yes,
Reveal.
it
The Great
is.
Reset, they're trying to do things secretly. But for people that don't know what the Great Reset is, and I think next week we should get into the Great Reset. Maybe. Because we could definitely get some. But this was a short I posted. It's called "Is Your Freedom at Risk? The WEF's Secret Plan Revealed." If nobody's noticed, you see that little circle there
Yeah.
on his lapel? Yeah, a lot of these people have been wearing this, and I was like, really, like, what the hell is this? But if you look, it shows you a little bit. It's a silly little 30-second clip. Check it out. And there's
Soros, his son, with Trudeau.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause these here. So can you guys see it? Okay, I'm gonna bring it up even higher.
Yeah, zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, Alex Soros and Justin Trudeau both are not interested in women, but
well, a lot of
very
different leaders have been seeing
ironically.
this. So this is from the UN Agenda 21 to 2030, and I would say that's also the World Economic Forum's involved. But here actually coming up is going to be their spokesperson. So can't see it.
But what we know is that we will end up with many more unemployed, and particularly also people in the grey economy, which are not counted for, who lose their jobs. So we will see definitively a lot of anger already now, but probably increased by the end of the year, because this crisis will be with us until we really have found a remedy. So we have to prepare for a more angry world, and how to prepare.
Yeah. So thoughts?
Yeah. Very bad dude. They're all a bunch of scumbags, and they don't like
He's
you.
proud to wear it. He's like, oh, I'm gonna wear this.
Can we
to
find
destroy
see
the whole plane?
before we go? While we talk, I want you to find the photo of him in that spacesuit. It looks like a James Bond villain. Just for
Oh
fun.
my
Like, as our
God,
last
That was at a summit, not
Yeah.
G7. It was one of those
I mean-
big things.
You know, it's interesting that the Georgia Guidestones were like destroyed, right? You know, what timeline are we living on and what's
Oh,
going on?
dude
Because I
bombed
mean,
it,
in a
yeah.
way, it would be good to have a global society, but in a way, we can't have it centralized. Again, we have to have decentralized. Like if the world worked kind of like the United States works, right? How we have all the governors, we have the states, you know, we have a weak federal central government is how you want to have it. Because I agree, I want everybody in the world to have free speech. I want everyone in the world to be like America, honestly. But
Oh,
so
God.
I see. Yes,
Like I said before,
this
Don,
is
like, we
real
wrote the
life.
blueprint.
He wore
Don.
this. Yeah, we wrote
Yeah.
the blueprint exactly. So
They can all
we
copy
wrote-
it.
They do not.
And I
sponsor this
encourage them to
blueprint.
copy it.
Yes,
Dude.
copy this
Oh my
blueprint
God.
and make it global. Fine.
Don't look like a supervillain if you're trying to not.
Bro, they don't even
Be
care
one.
at this point. His second in command, what's his name? Something Novel Harari, right? He goes on a lot of podcasts and stuff.
at this, look
He
at
stepped
this.
down.
The chancellor, I believe Klaus Schwab is stepping down. He's not like part of that.
Well, Klaus Schwab, he's like the main guy. So if he's stepping down,
They're like
and,
shark's teeth, bro. There's
yeah,
always
it's,
someone.
it's
looking-
not.
Of course.
That's not like he's super old and everything, and he's like he don't need nothing. But his second in command, Noel something Harari, bro, some of the stuff that he said, like he's not even like it's so far on the nose. Like he's talking about like humans are dumb and they need to be reprogrammed and
Useless eaters.
that's one of his quotes. Yes, absolutely.
Listen, I
so far
benefit
on
of
the
the,
nose.
are they wrong?
No, they are utilitarian. So if you were
Yes.
to call them
Pragmatic.
pragmatic, yes. So it's a whole thing about like the moral dilemma.
If
Are
you
they
take
moral?
the
No.
shot,
Are they right?
Who cares?
Maybe.
If you do it, you took the shot. You did it. You knew. If you don't know.
Right, that's
They're-
the whole point. But the thing is, going back to an early part of our thing, feed us fluoride to make us dumb, call us dumb, and try to get rid of us. It's a process.
Get rid of some of us, and the other ones they
They
want to
don't
keep
need
like in
all
a
of us because
surf class.
In a world
They-
of automation, they don't need.
They
all
want to
of us.
make low class dumb people that you know. Okay, you will live in the pod. You will eat the bugs. You know,
We're gonna get replaced with robots.
robots will have a place. Humans still will though. Like they're not trying to erase us, but we're not going to be at the top of the hierarchy anymore. Maybe.
I've seen the book, the UN Agenda for the 21st Century. I've
Yeah.
seen
They
someone who had
publish
it.
it.
They had a actual published copy. I've seen it in person, hand to God.
Probably still get
seen
it.
and they, and it was just absolutely incredible. And it is there, and obviously, their plans were set back by a man named Donald J. Trump for whatever reason. And
God
you know
bless
what?
him.
I think Musk is
And
right.
in-
We're gonna
in
have these
2
technologies. We need
weeks.
to do it right.
2 weeks.
Yes.
You know,
Musk
actually,
is absolutely right.
So you know what's
because
crazy?
you can't stop the flow.
You know
Right,
what's
you
crazy?
just have to manage it.
You know what?
Bingo.
Have you noticed that? So remember, these people are accelerationists, but have you noticed that Elon Musk has been accelerating a lot of his projects? He knows the end is near.
What do you mean the end, Steve?
The end of
this
the old
episode?
world. No, that and also
The fourth turning.
he knows the exactly.
We'll talk about that, Damien. We should have a whole conversation.
He
about the turning.
knows
Yes.
Yeah.
the
Thank you.
end of
The
old
old
world.
regime.
It's the end. Look, can we just speak real quickly? The age of Aquarius is upon us.
Right.
Mm.
The age
Came
of
out of
Pisces
Kali,
is what
right?
we're ending at. That's why you have the Jesus fish, right? We all know
Mhm.
this. The age of the ram, the age of Aries was the age of the Jews, you know, with the ram's horn. The age of Taurus was before that, the bull. the golden calf.
And they were told no longer to worship the golden calf.
Correct. And now
Because it
we
was
are
the
entering the
transition.
age of Aquarius. That's why our youngest, young children,
Gen
are
Alpha.
the Alpha generation. They are going to grow up in a
Alpha kids.
world. But what's interesting, and I was thinking about this the other day. I'm talking to my son, and he's 5 years old. We're just talking about. He's already looked through a telescope. He's seen an eclipse. He went to the eclipse this year, and he's seen the moon through the telescope and things like that. And we're talking to him, we're talking about the solar system and things like that. Our generation is so much more aware of things and just the way things are that we're a transitional, like Joe Biden was a transitional president. We're a transitional generation, the millennials.
We
What
knew how
we're
it
gonna
was. We
teach
knew where
our
we're going.
kids- What we're going to teach our kids, that generation is going to save the world.
We unfortunately got the shit end of the stick. We got the.
We still have the best life. We still have iPhones and Chick-fil-A. So screw
Listen,
you,
we-
Steve.
no, but I'm talking about overall.
There's a cost to that, though.
There's
a
an overall-
cost to that
No.
luxury.
There's power. We have powers, Damien. With great power comes what?
Responsibility,
Great
absolutely.
responsibility.
But at the same
As
time,
the poorest American is more wealthy than
correct
some of the poor.
Correct.
You know,
I
than
agree.
some of the wealthiest people. In other,
I agree, but let me say something. America is not going in the direction of the generational betterment. For the longest
up
time
until
in America,
Donald Trump, absolutely.
No, it is. It is though. It is. The pendulum is swung. People are fighting back. Do you see what's happening?
people are fighting
People are
back.
coming
Yes,
back in
but
a
the reason
big
that
way.
but the reason that people are fighting back is because we were the generation
It got
that,
so bad.
that it got so bad, and we were the generation that was bad times create good.
That's literally what I said about the fourth turning. The weak,
That's-
the good times,
times
in the
create
80s
weak
have
men.
created the weak men
Right.
of the 2000s.
And that's who's been in
Weak
charge.
men
Now they've
create
created
hard
bad
times.
times.
Hard
So guess
times
what?
create strong men. And
What are
that's
we
what
in?
we are. Strong men create good times.
Good times.
We are in the hard times right now.
Right.
We're in the hard times, and we need to just stay strong, everyone. Filter
And
your
it's-
water. Take
it's
your
gonna get rough.
vitamins, and stay
Yep,
strong.
wear a helmet
stay
and
right,
strap it.
Go vote.
And
drink
on
water.
that note, we have a great reveal from Tyler today. He, I guess, has some.
Oh, it's the great reveal. It's a good
This is
fortune cookie from
kinda-
Tyler.
We're
This is
gonna
kinda
outsource our
ironic
great reveal to
because
China now.
We are
was not
outsourcing the great
planned.
reveal today to Mr. Tyra.
This was not planned at all.
Mr.
I swear
Tyra
to my
Cookie. Oh,
life.
Ty Ring.
I have
Ty-
some
oh, wait.
fortune cookies.
Wait.
From...
Did you
Oh, they're not
know?
even-
Did you
Ooh,
know
he got
that
the
in
good
World
ones
War
too,
II,
shit.
they used a secret code word the Americans would use that the Japanese could not pronounce. You know what that word was?
That's all.
Lululemon.
Lollapalooza. Because the Japanese could not say. They would say,
The L's.
Raraparuza. And then we know the Japanese. So that's where Lollapalooza came from. Anyway, with that,
Funny
Tyler.
story. That's why the guy that invented Lululemon actually knew that because he
Yes,
thought it
he
was.
did say that he was.
The damn Chinese attacking me.
So that
Anyways.
Ruru
All right, Tyler.
makes good
So who
butts.
gets? So who
Anyways,
gets the?
so
Tyler.
so I got fortune cookies, and
Oh,
each one's gonna have a fortune for us. It might be
Do it up.
significant, so we're
There's
gonna
four,
do it.
there's four,
and-
we each get a
you,
cookie?
you gotta.
Yes,
who gets the first one? You gotta pick.
All right, so just like tarot cards, Tyler's
Well-
got to talk to somebody. He's got to feel it to see what's warmer.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, you know what?
We'll have an
Can,
episode
can
on
we
tarot
can we
cards.
choose like a tarot cards? Can we get like 4 to choose from?
So I'm gonna. No,
Why don't we
here's what we're gonna
randomize it?
do.
Why don't
Well,
we
we
just
don't
roll
need
the
to
dice?
do
I'm
that
just
right
gonna
now. We'll do that
I'm
some
just
other
gonna-
time.
Listen, everybody. Hey,
Tarot
we're gonna read the
cookies?
fortune, and then we're gonna say what the fortune actually resembles for the.
No.
person we
You
pick.
gotta stick it to somebody, right?
Yeah, it's got to connect to
You
somebody.
gotta connect to somebody.
Pick one of us.
Okay.
So wait a minute. Hold on a
Let's,
second. Hold on. Tyler. Tyler. Pick a number
What?
1 through 3. No.
Okay.
How do we do you? You're gonna be
Tyler's
last.
is just
You're
the
gonna
last
be,
one,
Tyler's
yeah.
gonna be last. So you're gonna pick a
Tyler
number 1
needs to
through
feel the
3.
heat.
Steve, we're all gonna pick a number 1 through 3. And we're all gonna hold up a number. It's Tyler, take a number 1. Actually, Tyler, take a number 1 through 3. I guess 10. How do we do this?
Okay, 3.
All right, everyone, hold up a number. 1, 2, 3. Tyler, what number were you thinking?
2, 3.
You said the number?
Tyler, me and you are spirit animals now.
Listen, I've had a glass of wine, but
All right, it's for
Damien is
Damien. This one's for
Damien,
Damien.
yeah.
Nope, this
It's
one's for
meant to
Damien.
be.
I just want this is for Damien.
It's gonna say you're gonna die and nobody loves you.
This is for Damien. For
It's
this
gonna say, help, I'm
I-
trapped in a fortune cookie factory. There's a suicide
Okay,
net
so
on every
this is
side of the
what we
building.
have for Damien, everybody.
Experience is what you get
Read it.
when you don't
Experience
get
is
what you want.
you get when you don't get what you want.
That's actually
That's a
not
great
so
one.
far off base, to be honest, because I have been through a lot of BS in my life, and I've gotten a lot of experience from it that I've been trying to make to use, as a launch board to make me a better man. So, yeah,
That's beautiful.
Jordan Belfort said that. Wolf on Wall Street guy. He's like, dude, your failures and all that stuff, that's just experience, bro.
learn from it.
Who's
If you
got a
don't learn
coin?
from it, it's not an experience.
And I got a coin. And I gotta say something
coin.
about experience.
Failure.
Repentance
The
and
greatest
stuff, right?
teacher it is.
Repentance.
learn from it.
Repentance is I have a challenge coin, a Masonic challenge coin. So repentance
next?
is a word, the Greek word metanoia in the Bible, and it means basically the changing of mind, right? So you're repented from your sin when you've changed yourself. So when you've actually, your experience has changed you into a better person, you are unburdened from your sins. You are repented.
I will.
Would
I
you
will
say
one,
unburdened from what has become?
Yes.
Burdened from-
Don,
you don't get
on
what
that
you
note,
want.
you and me had a very long conversation once about how the idea of changing your mind, it's such a basic term people use. Oh, let me know if you change your mind. But changing your mind is so deep.
Well,
It's
if
such
our
a-
minds create our reality, we're
Yes.
literally
Right.
changing
Your perception
is
our
your
mind.
reality.
Right.
It's
We're
so
not-
deep.
The
Right.
Nietzschean
We're changing our
philosophy.
beliefs. It's like in the Matrix, right? Neo could not jump the building until he believed he could, until he changed his mind.
He didn't know martial arts until he said that he could.
Right. So all right,
Flip
heads
that
or
coin.
tails,
Philosophy,
heads or tails,
like power-
heads or tails, Steve. So
I think therefore I am.
Tyler, so
Tails.
Tails. All right,
So,
tails. It's Steve.
Tails.
Tails. It's Steve. All right, Steve's fortune. Let's go.
I had a feeling this wasn't going to be Steve. I just have a good energy today. So let's see.
He put this one.
Right.
You always have good energy, Tyler. Much love.
This is anytime. Okay, so this one is for Steve. Haste does not bring success.
Haste makes waste.
That's a good one.
Haste does not bring success. Can you relate?
I
to
needed that right now. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna leave that
Oh.
between me and the fortune cookie, but
Steve Jobs said
That's
that.
a good one.
Better fast than perfect, but haste
Do it
makes
right.
waste. And I think there's a term in the special ops use where it's fast is slow or slow is fast. What is it? Slow is fast. Slow is smooth. Fast is. I can't remember exactly what it is.
I will
Fast
say
is
one
slow,
thing.
slow is
I
smooth.
like the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
I will say one thing. I do like to prepare a lot, as you guys see with the shows, but in my personal life, I think I sometimes rush things and I need to really slow down.
You do.
And that's definitely something I got to do.
You
'cause it freaks me
overthink
out.
things like me too. We all overthink.
Yeah.
We have to calm
We're,
down.
we're,
and just-
we're at
Quieting
a high
our-
capacity.
Quieting
I
our
do,
mind is
but I
very
gotta slow
important.
down.
And we should have a whole episode on the pentagram and why our quieting our mind is very important. But the quote is
And why
slow
pentagram's
is
not even
smooth.
bad.
Remember this, guys. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast.
And
Slow
baby
is
oil
smooth,
makes all that
smooth is
happen.
You beat me to it, you son of a bitch.
It's just done.
Wait, should we flip a coin, Tyler, or should you just give that one to me?
No.
Just
So
give it
here's
to
the
him.
thing.
He
I
goes
already know
last.
my fortune. I haven't told you guys for the whole show.
Okay, so this
I
one's
already
for
know
me
what
then.
it is.
All right.
Monkey
But you
punch.
opened your cookie earlier?
I did because this is really a significant one for me. So I really like it because it kind of relates to my life. And
With my fortune there,
Do
Mr.
it up.
Tyler.
Can we do this
All right,
every
so-
week? This is great.
Do you like
It's
this?
actually
I'll
an
just keep
awesome
buying them
idea,
at the
too.
supermarket. They're great.
Tyler's
you got
gonna
a
get
box set,
fat
that's
because he has to eat all of them.
No,
they're
man,
like
they have
they're
a
like
lot of-
That
cardboard.
Chinese bioweapon.
I mean, you see the
Cardboard,
ingredients
bro.
right
There's
there.
no fat
What does
in
it say right there? It says
Cardboard?
soy.
Yellow number 5, yellow number 6. I thought we were on Sober October from chemicals.
Oh,
brought
I'm
in.
not eating it. They're just all on the ground here. They're going to the
He's
dog.
just cracking
the
it
dog
and throwing it to the orphans.
Okay, here we go.
I have not eaten fast food once this year.
Okay, what is that?
Fear is just
Fear
excitement.
is just-
In
Need
need
of an attitude
Attitude
adjustment.
adjustment.
That's a good one. That's
You
that's
know,
a good one.
interestingly enough, I've been listening and reading Dune, the book Dune.
Hell yes.
Very good book.
Herbert,
And honestly,
what was his
it
name?
was-
Robert Herbert, amazing
yeah,
author.
It was very hard for me to
Frank
get
Herbert.
into it.
Frank Herbert.
Frank Herbert until I watched the movies. And I watched and I love watching the movies before I read a book. It makes
So you
it
know
so
what's
much
funny?
better.
You get
I've
the
never
details.
watched the movies for Dune, but I've read the books. I've literally never watched the
Movies were amazing, but reading the books now, and there's a great quote in there, and I'm gonna actually pull up the full quote. But read that, Tyler. Read that quote. Read that again, just real quick.
I'm curious. What is the attitude adjustment for you, Don? I'm curious because fear is just excitement in need of attitude adjustment.
I have an idea about that because if fear
Or
is
you- I
clouding
mean,
your mind and fear is keeping you away
Yes.
from things, it can change your
Yes.
attitude to
You
be
have
more
to
perceptive.
change. You have
and
to change your
going-
mind.
You got to go towards things more. So it's like don't let fear run
Don't
your
let
life.
fear
Essentially, don't let
take
fear
your
cuck
life.
you and put you in the corner chair in the hotel room. Like
Correct.
so, like
Don't let fear baby oil you up.
yes,
I'm gonna read this quote from Dune because it's so
Dark.
profound. I've been actually quoting it in my life, but then I'm also gonna break it down a little bit. They say it as the Bene Gesserit. They say it. I must not fear. Fear is the
Fear
mind
is the-
killer. Fear is the
Fear is the
little
mind
death
killer.
that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. And
those
fear,
books were amazing.
if we know about fear and
That's
anything about
beautiful.
energy and demons
Love
and
it.
things like that, fear, the movie It, the book It, Stephen King It.
Yes.
What was its power?
Fear.
You being afraid
That
of
was
it.
the only power.
The second you were not afraid of it, it had no power. And that is everything in life. When a demon, you look at a demon and you say,
Similar
I do
to
not fear you, demon. I do not
Freddy
fear you,
Krueger.
Satan. And you spit in its path.
Freddy
I
Krueger.
fear not the fear because
fear
fear
not
is
the
the
fear.
mind killer. And that's all they want us to
Yep.
do. Because if we
They want us
fear,
to fear.
we vibrate into that frequency. We
So-
harmonize with fear.
Yes.
And we bring that into our
So
existence.
on
You
that
also
note, Don,
neuter yourself when you fear it.
True.
Correct.
on that
Really is
note,
true.
I wanted to say something because I could definitely see as we're growing, people maybe accusing us of pushing fear porn, but that's not what we're trying to do here. What we're trying
How?
to do, because we show a lot of graphic, hard to
And then we
handle
drop white pills on
subjects.
it,
We're
though.
reviewing.
We,
I mean,
we
we're
do,
revealing
but
We're
what
the opposite of
what
fear
we want
porn.
people
We're
to do
white
is
pill pushers.
I understand what he's saying, though. People do say, "Why talk about that?" It's just, what can we, and that's why it's important to have.
Just be-
what can
don't
we
be
do about
scared.
it? Why? It's important to know why.
So that's
Why?
what we're here to do. We're here to get you to ask
Just why.
questions, and we're here to ask why, and what
Yeah.
can you do?
Get that
And we're
noggin.
Change
going.
your
We're
world.
not like your usual guys, We're not like media agents or
Secret Chinese spy.
I'm not
You
like
are
all the
not.
other
I know
girl-
you're a secret CIA spy.
I'm not like all the other.
I don't get
girls.
paid enough to be
He's
one.
typecast for it.
I am a little bit part Chinese, but anyways.
Based.
So, what was
my
your
name-
fortune?
So my fortune, which is really, I didn't tell you guys, I knew about this the whole time, is this right here. So
Pixar didn't have.
this
There you
one.
go.
Failure is the chance to
do better next time. And as
Self-explanatory.
I'm sure- yes, I failed a lot in my life. However, I learned from those experiences. Not a rabbit hole to dive into, but I've been through a lot in the past coming years. One thing in which I have to work on every single day is to be honest and tell the truth. I've had a lot of things in my life where I've maybe had to fabricate or do something, and it's
We all
gonna
do, to
hurt,
be honest.
I'm
And
proud.
as-
I'm
Anybody
proud
who
of
says
that.
that they always tell the truth is
We're
lying.
human.
Like
We're
straight up.
humans.
I'm a human being. I made mistakes.
I'm sure I
grow
bullshit
from it.
sometimes too.
Exactly.
That's why we're
I mean,
here on this earth,
Exactly.
Tyler and my friends. That's why we're here on this earth is to
Yeah.
learn. All
We
can
always
do,
should strive to do better.
And to be tortured.
The past is prologue.
by our
Hey,
own
listen,
minds.
guys, even behind the scenes in this podcast, with me, Steve, Don, Damon, we're bickering each other. We're saying, "Oh, this isn't right," or "This isn't right," but we all love each other. You know, it's good because we do fail, but we do succeed. Look, we're close to 200 subscribers.
Well,
It's
actually, I
amazing.
think
We're killing
We
it.
are at 200 subscribers.
Yeah, we are. We
So
I
that's
think we
two
might have
shots for
crossed it.
everybody.
2 shots. Let's
Here.
go.
Yes, and we also have 66 videos. So tonight we are
Yeah.
executing Order 66.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, so kind of summing up, I've done a lot of things in my life that weren't perfect. However, I am grateful to have a podcast with you guys. I'm grateful to have my support system in my life, and you know what? I'm grateful to be alive.
I still
Amen.
can't believe you let all those orphans die in that fire, Tyler.
I know.
Well, to be honest, nobody really missed them. But Tyler, love you too, and I am happy to be here with you as well.
All right, final words, everybody. Anybody else have some final thoughts here before we clock out for the night?
I don't, I would ask what are we going to talk about next week, but I think things are moving
Yeah.
so rapidly and so crazy. We don't really know. Do we have? We've been trying to
don't
want to
know.
maybe talk about aliens, but we'll see what happens.
24-hour news cycle, if that.
Well, I know.
It's insane. We didn't
with the
even get to assassination attempts and all that stuff.
I know,
Like,
it
it's
just-
it's
things are
just so
good.
fast.
Oh yeah, we
You're right.
really skipped the guy that run into Coachella with the guns and stuff.
Well,
but,
that's.
Do we want to finish?
We'll
on
talk
that?
about that.
No.
Hold on.
Well, okay. Oh, you want me to like throw like a 2-minute like thing in about that?
I'm gonna play a little 30-second clip, and then we'll do one
bonus round.
Bonus round.
And this just into our newsroom. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department just announced an arrest from former President Donald Trump's rally in Coachella. And deputies say they arrested a 49-year-old Las Vegas man who had a loaded firearm and a high-capacity magazine. The man was arrested yesterday at a checkpoint outside the grounds of the rally. He was released on bail last night. The Sheriff's Department says the incident did not impact the safety of former President Trump or any of the attendees. Still pretty frightening.
You know, I was waiting for it. I was like, it's California. They're gonna release him at some point in this article.
$5,000.
Within a couple seconds.
They released him on $5,000 bail.
Yes, and there's a reason for that though, because the way that this story has been situated, a lot of it's been clickbait. So a man was arrested with like firearms and stuff, but it turns out this guy, like, he's not a left winger. He's like actually, he's even friends with a lot of people on the right wing and has done like shows and stuff with them. And he had gotten arrested because he was in possession of firearms around an event. So my personal opinion,
In
facts are still coming out about this. He's on, like, it seems all facts show that he's like kind of like with us and everything. But
Total
he got
plans.
him
Control the news cycle.
possibly.
I'm
Yes,
for it. Go Trump.
Yes. So no, it's very possible. All of this screams like hoax. This dude, by all metrics and all personal accounts, is actually a huge Trump supporter. He's been to several rallies. There's videos of him. He's actually ran for Congress there. I think this was an arrest that was not really, it wasn't congruent with any malicious activity.
So what you're telling me is the man
having
had a gun in
firearms-
California.
Yeah, pretty much. So I just want to say, like, people look into this. Facts are always changing. This is very quick cycle. We don't know everything right now, just like with, the other 2 or 3 assassination attempts. But from what I've seen, things have changed
What a
so much
world.
in the first 24
What a
hours.
year.
This man
The
seems
other
like
2
he
or
might
3
be-
assassination attempts.
Yes,
And
and
there's
the
more to be
mainstream media
soon.
is trying to normalize it. They're trying to normalize it so that
Which
you're
is
numb
scary.
when if
which
it
is
actually
really
happens.
Scary. I mean, he's
Yeah.
literally flying around in decoy planes and cars and
Because
things right
they
now.
want
I mean,
it.
Yes. So I mean, I
Yeah.
think this is the time point. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think
Me
we should
too.
stay. Don't be afraid. Be hopeful.
Don't be
Hope,
afraid.
faith, and love. That's all we need in
Be,
my
be
lives,
strong
guys.
and
That's a
push
good way
forward.
to end it.
Hope, faith, and love, my
Yes.
friends. Hope, faith, and love.
See you next week, guys.
That's it.
Have a great night. Be safe.
Bye, guys.